In this noisy and dirty old neighborhood, there is a small attic house, just 16 square meters. It is the residence of the main character, Bong, 25 years old, currently unemployed and working 3 part-time jobs at a convenience store, a BBQ restaurant, and as a temporary laborer. Although working like a beast, he could never save a single dollar because of his debts. Do thought he would spend his life living an ordinary life at the bottom of society. Until that fateful day, a status window appeared before him with just a few words. Bong has awakened. The blue light emanating from the window stunned him. The instant he didn't blow on the noodles before eating, he almost burned himself. But that pain made Do realize he wasn't dreaming. "You mean love? Someone like me?" He muttered to himself, incredulous. Yes, in this world, awakening is called a blessing, a chance to seize wealth and completely change your life, sometimes even luckier than winning the lottery. But the problem is, you can only enjoy those things while you're alive. Those who awaken will then attempt to conquer the tower, and entering it means facing unimaginable dangers. You could be torn apart by monsters, frozen solid or burned alive in harsh environments, or even die from poison, or end up selling salt because of traps, and so on. Do himself always instinctively avoids all dangers. For example, from afar, when he saw those seemingly lonely guys on the street, he would start pretending to answer his phone to avoid eye contact, and he never once walked past construction sites to avoid falling debris. And so, Do truly lived peacefully for 25 years. But now he is facing the biggest turning point of his life, becoming a fake awakener. He puts down the chopsticks on the table and once again questions whether he's overworking himself to the point of hallucination. After a moment of confusion, Do pretended to imitate the fake awakeners he had seen before, sweeping his hand through the air and shouting loudly, "Status window!" That thing actually appeared for real. It lists all of Do current stats, confirming that he has truly become an illusionist linked to the Black Tower with the summon attribute and currently has 1 summon remaining. Do attribute skills include targeted summoning, random summoning, and dismissal. Additionally, he has a common skill that any awakener possesses, which is entering the tower, currently once per day. Looking at the pile of information in front of him, Do felt a bit dizzy and lightheaded. So it's true that he awakened. Speaking of Do attribute, it must be known that awakened individuals are granted a power called an attribute. These include swordsmanship, spear techniques, shield skills, archery, martial arts, transformation, heavy strikes, summoning, and many other types. Among them, the summoning attribute that Do has awakened allows the use of creatures such as spirits, illusion beasts, golems, demon beasts, and many others. This attribute is understood as having the ability to command the specific summoned creatures. At this moment, Do is quite nervous. He wants to know what kind of creature he will summon. After all, he's awakened, so why not test his skill? So, Do gathered all his courage, struck his most confident pose, and shouted the 2 words of summoning, but nothing happened. After a moment of confusion, he finally remembered an important fact, that he couldn't use his abilities outside the tower. It can only be activated when the false awakener enters inside. Outside, besides checking the status window, they are just ordinary people. It's so obvious I forgot. I'm really stupid. How could skills be used outside the tower? You secretly admire him. Who would have thought that just a few seconds later, the status window suddenly appeared, along with a message indicating a random summon was starting. Do let out a loud sigh, and then a massive creature appeared before him, or rather, it was a human. "What the hell? A human?" Do asked in surprise. "Yes, I am human," the other party replied obediently. Do is truly confused now, because not only did he activate his skill outside the tower, but he also summoned a human, not a spirit or golem. At this moment, the summoned guy suddenly became excited because he just smelled the aroma from the instant noodles Do was tasting. "Can I have a bite?" he asked excitedly. Seeing that this person was about to drool all over, Do couldn't bear to refuse. Watching him wolf down the noodles, he wondered if he had just summoned a beggar. This person's eating style is also very rough, which makes Do feel like he just summoned something useless. Still, this is all very strange. You have never heard of awakening abilities being used outside the tower, let alone summoning humans, so Do opened the system. At this moment, your skill clearly shows that it can summon humans and old women. Duhu's summoning range includes R rare, SR super rare, SSR especially super rare, and the highest L SSR legendary super rare. Looking at the rarity classification chart of the summoned objects in front of him, Duhu felt like he was playing a gacha game. Not only that, but the system also sent him a list of 3 rules that the summoned objects must follow. First, the summoned entity must prioritize the life of the summoner. Second, they must absolutely obey the summoner's orders. And finally, when principles 1 and 2 conflict, the first principle takes precedence. Sounds pretty cool, huh? So I wonder what kind of entity that guy slurping noodles is. Du-Hai-Huk quietly mused. Immediately, the information panel of the guy you just summoned appeared. He is the crazy assassin of the Kruin Guild, named Zone Kosack, SR rank, super rare human assassin category. The current summoning duration is 6 hours, and the cooldown period after canceling the summon is 3 hours. According to the introduction, Ko is the black sheep of the Kruin Assassin Guild. He is a true madman, but Ko's success rate in every mission reaches 99%. He even once succeeded in assassinating a 5-circle dark mage, but in the end, he still lost his life. As he read this, Du-Hyuk felt a pounding headache, as if countless pieces of information were rushing into his mind. Then he felt his body lighten and fell into Ko's memories. At that moment, Kosack brushed past you like a gust of wind, but he never touched Du-Hai-Huk because his body did not exist in this memory zone. Here, Du-Hai-Huk witnessed Kosack's skills firsthand. He is truly a perfect assassin with exceptional skills, and also an absolute lunatic because after finishing off his victims, Ko even ties their heads into bows. The death of Kosack stemmed from a single mistake. That time, his target was the strongest swordmaster, and that was also the last memory of Kosack that Du-Hu could see. As soon as he returned to the present, Kosack suddenly approached from behind. His breath blowing straight onto Du-Hyuk's neck made him jump. What is he thinking? It's just a simple question, but after witnessing the madness of the Kosack in his memory, Du-Hyuk was so scared he stepped back dozens of steps, almost knocking over the TV. Oh, sorry, I just wanted to ask what you need me to do. Du-Hu tried to reassure himself that even though the person in front of him was a madman, he had to absolutely obey the summoner's orders, so he switched to a condescending tone and gave the command. Kosack, clean up the noodle pot and then wipe the table. Yes, sir, Kosack replied, then used the speed of the altar to fulfill Du-Hyuk's request without a word of complaint. If it were another top assassin doing the dishes, Du-Hyuk might have been cut down instantly, but Kosack, as the summoning creature, obeys all of his requests. This made Du-Hyuk feel incredibly amazed. He asked again, so Kosack, if I request some strange things, you probably won't do them, right? Obeying the summoner's commands is an absolute requirement for me. The guy happily replied while wiping the table, then barked for me like a little dog. Normally Du-Hu wouldn't make such strange requests. He just wanted to test if Kosack would truly obey all his commands. But as soon as he finished speaking, the room fell silent. Du-Hai-Huk could even feel the temperature drop a few degrees, and seeing Kosack look displeased, he was worried he had made a request that was a bit too much. After all, in his previous life, he was a powerful man with an extremely high sense of pride. If he made him angry and he attacked, he would be doomed. Unexpectedly, Kosack started barking and wrapping around Du-Hu like a little dog. I couldn't help but give a thumbs up. This summoning spell is truly miraculous. The other party really obeys my commands absolutely. Suddenly, someone rough knocked on the door, followed by some threatening words. Bong Du-Hi-Uch, are you home right now? Open the door immediately. Du-Hai-Huk realizes it's the creditor's voice. He completely forgot that today was the deadline to pay the interest. Du-Hai-Uc borrowed 10 million won because the bank wouldn't lend him money, so he had to borrow from outside sources. That was the cost of his father's hip fracture surgery after he fell on the ice, plus the tuition fees for Du-Hai's younger sibling, leaving him no other choice. Du-Hai-Huk once thought he would pay off the debt quickly, but the reality was different. He has already paid over 5 million in interest. Until now, every time the debt collector came to my house, I felt stupid for borrowing at high interest rates. But I couldn't do anything else. Even if I could turn back time, I would still do the same. Du-Hyuk, show your face and tell me if you're still alive. The knocking outside is getting more and more frantic. At this moment, he remembered that he only had Kosack, but before he could give an order after turning around, he saw him draw his sword, already waiting with a bloodthirsty, excited look. Go ahead and give the order. I will cut his head off and bring it back. That's not true, Du-Hyuk quickly replied. If I hadn't held him back, that guy would definitely have caused trouble. And Du-Hai-Huk's only request was for Kosack to go into the bathroom and stay there. Keep her mouth shut, make no noise, and not let anyone outside find out. Then she went to open the door. The debt collector just grabbed Du-Hai-Huk by the collar roughly. Are you still in good health? You still haven't come to pay the interest. I'm worried about your uncle's health. Sorry, I forgot I just transferred the money. Du-Hai-Uc obediently responded, but the other person still wouldn't give up. Well, if there's a problem, don't push yourself too hard. At worst, sell one kidney and keep the other alive, right? You also have a younger sibling, don't you? The boss outside keeps talking, saying having a younger sibling is fine too. The younger they are, the more they can sell for. What are you looking at me like that for? Are you planning to punch me or what? He asked. Although Huck really wanted to do that, thinking about the debt, he only dared to scratch his head and say he wouldn't dare to do it. So after throwing a few more threats, the debt collectors finally left. After they left, Coke finally opened the bathroom door and stepped out. At this moment, Hyuk was feeling very confused and exhausted. Are you really wondering if you should conquer the tower? Sure, money is important, but for a clueless guy like you to enter the tower is just too dangerous. Seeing Hyuk deep in thought, Kosack proactively asked, "What do I need to do now? I don't know what you want to do. If you want to go back, I will cancel the summoning. So can I watch TV now?" It's been a while since I last watched it. Hyuk felt strange that Kosack knew modern things like instant noodles and TVs, but since it didn't cause any harm, he agreed. So he started watching the movie intently. Even when Hyuk was about to go to sleep, Kosack kept watching. Seeing him focus like that, I suddenly felt that having someone by my side wouldn't be so bad, even if Kosack is just a summoned entity. After all, Hyuk has always worked alone until exhaustion. He fell asleep without realizing it, and only woke up when the alarm rang at 8 o'clock the next morning. Kosack was no longer here, which was not surprising since his manifestation only lasted 6 hours. Whether he wakes up or not, Hyuk still plans to go to work. But at that moment he hears a news report on TV. We would like to bring you breaking news. Early this morning, a brutal murder occurred at the office of an illegal private lending company called SSS in Yongnogu-seun. Hyuk, who was brushing his teeth, had to stop. The announcer added that there were 3 victims in total, and all 3 died in the same way: beheading. Moreover, their heads were all bound with red silk scarves. The toothbrush on Hyuk's hand fell to the ground, and a single name with a Kosack appeared in his mind. It has to be him who did this. All that effort Hyuk spent feeling somewhat comfortable beside him last night was in vain, because he truly summoned a deranged killer. Hyuk hurriedly searched online for information about the recent case, and a series of horrifying images appeared before him. Hyuk felt like this cold, restless night had really worn him out. His mind was blank, and he even had a hallucination that the debt collector with the red bandage on his head came all the way to demand his money. That feeling haunted him so much that even when working at the convenience store, he was scared out of his wits by himself. After work, Hyuk walks home with a troubled mind, feeling that this can't go on, so he decides to take a day off tomorrow. On the street, everyone is cheerful because the first snow has fallen, while Hyuk trudges through the snow alone, his mind only asking himself if those debt collectors who died are because of him. Returning to his tiny attic apartment, Hyuk once again checked Coke's information, and truly had to marvel that he was indeed a crazy guy. Although he knew Coke wouldn't harm him because he was the one who summoned him, Hyuk still felt scared after what happened this morning. In the end, after some consideration, Hyuk decided to call Kosack out. This time, Kosack did not appear immediately. Instead, a mandatory notification prompted him to rate his satisfaction with the target before summoning him. At this moment, Hyuk finally understood the purpose of the satisfaction rating feature in the menu. Initially, he was going to give a 1-star rating because of Kosack's behavior, but in the end, he couldn't bring himself to do it since he did it for Hyuk, so he ultimately rated 3 stars. Hyuk's mother was a water purifier rental service consultant, so he knew very well how much a bad review could impact. Even if he was truly upset, giving 1 star was still a bit too much. After completing the review, Kosack immediately appeared, still with that bright, flower-like smile. He even kept thanking Hyuk for giving him 3 stars. With that innocent-looking face, Hyuk truly wondered if he had killed the 3 debt collectors. After a moment of hesitation, Hyuk still decided to ask, "I have something to discuss. Did you kill those guys who came to my house yesterday?" Exactly right. Kosack didn't even bother to deny and responded immediately and confidently. "I took good care of them last night before the recall time ran out." "So you're saying you're facing a murderer right now?" Just thinking about it makes Doohoo's stomach churn and his heart race. Doohoo tries to stay calm because he knows at least Kosack won't do anything to him. "How could you do that? You don't even know where their office is." Kosack explained that while those 3 men stormed into the house and threatened Doohoo, he had marked them for tracking himself. It seems to be one of Kosack's skills. Hyuk asked again why he did that, and was told it was because those 3 were a major threat and needed to be eliminated first, but I didn't give him any orders, right? Hyuk still didn't understand. That was because of the 3rd principle, sir. After Kosack's answer, Hyuk was stunned, recalling the list of principles he had read earlier. In short, the so-called absolute obedience can be overridden by the 1st principle if the summoner faces danger. That's why Kosack took it upon himself to eliminate those 3 troublemakers. So if I, the summoner, order you to take my life, you wouldn't obey, would you? Du-Hai-Hook said. That's right, you understand quickly, but clearly they don't pose a threat to my life. That's more like it, you decided on your own. That's right. But the 3 principles can be understood more broadly. Kosack said, I believe those individuals are risk factors that could threaten your life someday, so this is a very reasonable decision. No way, you're the one who's crazy. After saying that, he couldn't bear to hurt Kosack, which only made his mood worse. All right, I apologize for my harsh words. It's okay, I've heard that kind of thing many times before. Kosack quickly waved her hand. But Dahu's psychological issues still haven't been resolved because he feels it's too dangerous to leave Kosack like this. Suppose he and the guy are walking down a busy street and he accidentally bumps into some thug. Then he said something like, do you want to die? I'll gouge out your eyes right now. Of course, they were just threatening. Not actually doing anything, but in Kosack's view, that became a danger to Du-Hai-Hook and ultimately led to the same outcome as those debt collectors. Then forget it. The more he thought about it, Du-Hoo's face grew even gloomier. If Kosack keeps tying a red ribbon every day, he's no different from an accomplice to the murderer. Seeing his master so devastated, Kosack seemed to realize his mistake and knelt down to apologize, which made Du-Hai-Hook even more panic-stricken. Why are you suddenly kneeling? Get up. He thought for a long time and finally decided it would be better to have a serious talk with Kosack, then spoke firmly. Listen carefully. Killing people doesn't benefit me at all. In fact, it only gets me into trouble. Yeah, but no one will find out. Kosack tried to cast a spell, so there won't be a next time, right? Well, I'm not sure anymore. This time he started to change the subject. I promise, only when my life is on the line should you act on your guesses, but you can't just attack based on assumptions. Then Kosack stood up suddenly, raised his hand in a salute, and declared confidently, I will assess the situation more accurately next time. All right, you can go home now. But instead of leaving right away, Kosack suddenly asked him why Du-Hai-Hook didn't go to climb the tower, bringing up the forgotten fatigue of the day. Du-Hai-Hook's hand clenched into a fist and started to tremble a little. Yes, climbing the tower is indeed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but honestly, he's afraid. Are there any other summoners? People like you who are summoned just like me? He asked hesitantly. Yes, they are very strong and brave people, Kosack replied, but his answer only made Du-Hu feel more ashamed, knowing that some people used their awakened powers to save the world while he lacked the courage to risk everything. Du-Hu also didn't hide that thought from Kosack, and when he spoke, it seemed as if the room fell into silence again. After a long pause, he finally spoke. A true summoner. Before he could finish, Du-Hu interrupted him. I know, I'm a coward. But the other person's reaction was completely different from what I expected, because then Kosack almost jumped up and carried me. You truly are the best summoner. Isn't the admirable trait of a summoner to prioritize safety? Courage is a poison. Other summoners may be brave, but they are very dangerous. Who knows when they'll go sell salt? And if they really go sell salt, we won't be able to go outside. Kosack kept grabbing Du-Hai-Hook and shaking him up and down. Turns out he was excited for that reason. Rest assured, I will handle everything. Summoner Bong just needs to take care of his body and live a long life. Kosack's words are truly touching, but this time Du-Hai-Hook stayed up all night feeling uncertain about whether to climb the tower or not. The debt collectors and the debts are gone now, even if not in the way he would have preferred. But at least now, Du-Hai can live a normal life with safe and simple tasks. As long as he stays diligent like always, everything will get better. So that morning, Du-Hai decided to start with some healthy exercise, and then he received a call from his father. Hello, Dad, you're still in the process of physical therapy, right? Du-Hai-Hook's first words were still to ask about his father's health, but then he received 2 difficult pieces of news. First, your father needs to be transferred to a major hospital for rehabilitation, which will obviously cost more. Second, your mother has been fired. Even though your father tried to comfort Du-Hai-Hook by saying everything is fine, he only called because it had been a long time since he last contacted his son. But how can Du-Hai-Hook just turn a blind eye after hearing all this? When there's time, I'll visit Dad and we can have a meal together. Rest well, Dad. After saying a few words to him, Du-Hai-Hook hung up. So, now you have even more pressure to earn money, and that led Du-Hai-Hook to decide to climb the tower. Just 1 floor, I'll take a quick look and leave immediately. If I sense danger, I will immediately escape. Du-Hai-Hook reassures himself. At first you planned to summon Kosack for safety, but then you felt you didn't have to go with that psycho. Instead, Du-Hai-Hook wanted to summon someone else. Maybe this time you can summon a super rare legendary character, but life isn't like a dream. The system reports that Du-Hai cannot summon at this time because it takes up to 30 days for this to become possible since the first summon. And now you have to wait another 28 days, 11 hours, 8 minutes, 37 seconds. In the end, Du still has to accept his fate, rate 5 stars, and then summon Kosack. When he appeared, you felt a bit nervous, hoping that Ko would call someone else out instead. Then you told him that you had decided to climb the tower. Kosack's mood seems mixed, excited about Du decision, but also worried that if he fails, he'll never be called out again. All right, let's get started now. I will be the loyal hunting dog for the summoner Bong. He promised to guide you safely and comfortably, and once inside the tower, he wouldn't even need you to lift a finger, because he would handle everything himself. They finished their preparations, and Du confirmed that they would enter the Black Tower in Korea, but currently only the first floor is accessible. He thought he was mentally prepared, but entering the tower still made him feel uncomfortable. The feeling of free fall made Du panic. It wasn't until a long time later that the two of them finally landed. On the first floor of the Black Tower, there is an open area. It seems comfortable, but Du felt dizzy and vomited, feeling worse than motion sickness. Under the guidance of Kosack, the two of them moved out of the safe zone. Du received a notification that his physical abilities would be upgraded to match his level, and his traits and combat skills had become available. Even at level 1, Du already feels pretty strong. Turns out this is what it feels like to become a fake consciousness. Level 1 mission quickly appeared. Du needs to defeat 5 fat worms with tough skin within a 2-hour time limit. After the mission appeared, the fat worms also showed up. This floor is originally a place for newcomers to test their skills. Du has also studied it. The fat worms with tough skin are just like dummies for practice. Their attack power is almost 0, but their tough skin makes them hard to finish off. Other players say it takes at least 30 minutes to take down one, so Du couldn't avoid feeling tense either. Just thinking about his parents gave him extra motivation, and Du decided to try on his own. Kosack wanted to help him from the beginning, but at this moment, Du was already standing in front of a fat worm. At that moment, Du remembered he had no weapon and planned to go back and borrow Kosack, but as he turned around, the fat worm suddenly stood upright. Seeing how terrifying it looked, Du couldn't help but tremble all over. "Kok, help me." Following his instincts, Du had to call for help, and Kosack also considered this a wise move. As soon as Du gave the order, Kok immediately leapt into the air. Unlike Du clueless look, he didn't take long to defeat the first fat worm. "Please, step back a little." Kosack shouted loudly and then directly took care of the remaining worms. Kosack's berserk fighting style gave Du chills, but there's no denying he's very strong. In the final moments, Kosack used his brutal sword skill to defeat nearly a dozen worms, broadening Du horizons. Thus, Du successfully completed the first floor mission at lightning speed and earned an S++ conquest rating for the first floor of the Black Tower in Korea. The reward Du received was a platinum badge. Seeing Kosack climbing the tower was as easy as pie, and Du felt like he was on cloud 9. You feel like you're about to get rich. But Du has no idea that at the moment he completed the mission, a notification was sent to all the awakened people in Korea. Although Du was now able to participate in the second floor battle, he had to leave the tower first. He checked his watch and realized he had only been away from home for about 3 minutes. You did everything, and now you obediently bow your head and say, "Summoner Bong, you've worked hard." It made you feel extremely embarrassed. "Not at all, I was just standing there, I didn't do anything. That's what really deserves praise." He honestly said that as long as Du just stayed still, to keep himself safe, that would be enough. "I heard the others were exhausted after taking down those fat worms, but you're fine. Only 3 minutes and no effort at all." Du checks the reward he just received. Besides the platinum badge, this is the first time he has seen malachite with his own eyes. Stone is an essential and valuable resource in modern industry. Its price has dropped significantly since the early days of the Black Tower's appearance, but it still currently reaches about 50,000 volts per 100 grams. 20 years after the towers appeared worldwide, most common knowledge about the towers is known by ordinary people. However, Du had never heard any information about that platinum badge, but he didn't really care. The important thing is you only earned 50,000 V in 3 minutes. Now just watch TV. Kosack has been waiting for this moment. That night, to celebrate his first victory, Du ordered a generous serving of braised pig's trotters. Usually, he only dared to eat instant noodles. Kosack sniffed disdainfully and looked disgusted. "Is it spicy, ham hock?" "No, I ordered the regular one because you said you can't eat spicy." "Du replied. "I think I smell something a bit spicy." Kosack still insisted stubbornly. It turns out that even the world's strongest assassin has a weakness, unable to handle spicy food. After confirming that the piece of pork leg wasn't spicy, Kosack happily started eating. Du Hai you see hasn't eaten yet because he still has something he wants to ask the other person. Hey Kosack, is that how you usually talk? The way you end your sentences with sir or ma'am so stiffly. No, it's just because I spent too much time around summoners before. I'm used to it. Kosack explained, basically, it's like being influenced by an ex-lover. Kosack said that if Du Huin didn't like it, he could change it, but honestly, he feels very happy to be treated with such absolute respect. Today, Du Hai Huck ate very happily, not only because he enjoyed the braised foot, but also because he felt that a bright future was opening up before him. With Kosack by his side, conquering the tower was as easy as eating porridge. Another night passed, and the next morning, Du Huin seriously set up a schedule. The convenience store during the day and the barbecue place at night are the two jobs you'll do. Additionally, you've decided to quit the manual labor jobs you did in between these shifts. Instead, Du Hyuk will sleep from midnight to 8 a.m., go to the convenience store at 11 a.m. until 4 p.m., take a 1-hour break, then work at the barbecue restaurant until 10 p.m., and finally spend 2 hours with Kosack entering the tower before going to sleep. Du Hyuk feels this is truly a perfect plan. Today, you continued to give Kosack a 5-star rating and called him up. After a few days, Du Hyuk realized that the rating seemed to be quite important to Kosack. He also revealed that the better the rating, the more benefits you get, such as increased existence time or higher chances of being summoned. The two decide to clear the second floor of the Black Tower today. Their second task is to defeat the quick and agile fat larvae within the 2-hour time limit. Just as the name suggests, these guys are faster than Du Hyuk thought and are everywhere on the second floor. What should we do now? Du Hyuk lazily. What do you want me to do? There's no time to do anything because we'll be done in just 3 minutes. Kojiak responded with a confident look. He also wanted to finish quickly and escort Du Hyuk home. All right, let's have some snake chicken today and drink beer too. He also responded with a promising reply, making the beast even more excited. They had kept their promise to complete the mission within 3 minutes. Du Hyuk received 200 grams of magic stones as a reward, a platinum badge, leveled up, and also earned an S++ conquest rating for the second floor. The challenge was so easy it was hard to believe. Was this really okay? Even if you do it quickly, 3 minutes is still too fast. You could even sneak into the tower before starting that morning shift. So they began to ascend to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors. Every time he quickly defeated all the monsters in an instant. Thanks to that achievement, Du Hyuk accumulated 5 platinum badges and received a special privilege. That privilege is the enhancement of the awakening trait. Due to its effect, the number of summoned creatures you can have at the same time has probably increased to 2. Du Hyuk was very surprised. Summoning 2 people at once means he can bring 1 more person, right? Just Kosack alone could clear the tower. Bringing another person along is way too safe. The reward from accumulating 5 platinum badges is truly brutal. Now you feel this could turn into a long-term battle that you can use to make money for a lifetime. Du Hyuk checks the time left to reuse the random summoning skill. Just over 20 days remaining. Just hold on carefully until then, and you'll be able to bring someone else along. By that time, you can just enjoy a relaxed life and let Kosack and the new person conquer the tower. At the Korean Awakening Agency located in Hannam-dong, Seoul, a tense atmosphere envelops the entire headquarters. When will it erupt today? Is it morning, evening, or late at night? John Wang-in, the head of the Aesthetic Management Department. You're thinking about that announcement, aren't you? Department head Limon A, who was standing nearby, suddenly stepped closer and spoke. You hit the nail on the head. Wang-in looks embarrassed. This department head, I told you to stop that habit of scaring others. The announcement Min mentioned is about achieving S++ rank for 6 consecutive days. Although it doesn't specify who achieved it, Wang-in is certain it was someone who completed each floor from 1 to 6 in order. And if someone in Korea possessed such incredible talent, how could they sit still? Even Director North Kung-shu of the Korean Awakening Authority couldn't stay calm and do nothing. Because until now, Korea's highest tower climbing record has only been an A rank, and in the international community, players changing nationalities is quite common, even involving secret abductions. Therefore, to prevent talented individuals from falling into another country's hands, they must find the person who has achieved S+C plus 6 times in a row. And to do that, Kyung-soo ordered Wang-in and Min to closely monitor all new players registering. 2 days later, Du-hoo had an 8th floor tower challenge. Since they only spent a few minutes on it each day, he even used his free time like a machine doing chores. Today is dishwashing day. Du-hoo seems very relaxed. Reaching the 10th floor is also the stage to shed the rookie label, and luckily everything is still going smoothly. Today, their mission is to defeat the 10 red thorn frog warriors. The higher they go, the more terrifying the monsters become. But they still haven't made much impression on the tower compared to Kosi's abilities. Today is no different from any other day. Du Hyuk received 800 gold mana stones, a platinum badge, and an exclusive recovery potion from the tower, with 5 bottles included. You've worked hard today. Leaving the tower, Kosack continued to repeat the familiar phrase he had been saying for over a week. Although Du Hyuk only watched from afar, Kak always believed that entering the tower was the hardest part. Besides, Cohen reminded Du Hyuk that after the 10th floor of the tower, things would no longer be so easy. And Du Hyuk hadn't thought about that yet. He only felt he should reward Kak a little for clearing everything 8 times in just 3 minutes. So he immediately took out a bill and handed it to Coke, telling him to go out and have fun as long as he didn't cause trouble. Who would have thought Coke instantly refused, saying he couldn't leave the summoner and that he just needed to stay home and watch TV. It seems that strict obedience to the rules doesn't work in this case. There's no other choice, so Du Hyuk had to turn on the TV for Coke to watch and order his favorite spicy free-fried chicken. While waiting for the food, he took the opportunity to check the new reward he received, an exclusive healing potion from the tower. Seeing that he didn't really need it, Du Hyuk decided to give it to Kosack. Regarding those demon crystals, I've accumulated about 3 jin. Selling them would probably earn around 1.8 million W. Since I have quite a lot now, I'm thinking of converting them into cash. By the 10th day, they conquered the Black Tower, and Du Hyuk began to feel like quitting his part-time job. At first, he just wanted to try it out, but in the end, he kept climbing a floor every day. Yesterday was the 9th floor, and the corpse flowers that eat people are pretty easy to handle. Of course, it's not easy for Du Hyuk, but for the corpse flowers. They still managed to get S+ and C+ ratings with similar rewards. Kosack's attentive service truly made Du Hyuk feel like he was the winner of the entire world, completely forgetting that he was a murderer who had recently taken the lives of 3 people. Today, before summoning Kosack, Du Hyuk still followed his habit of giving him a 5-star rating, and he received a notification that due to continuously maxing out his ratings, Kosack's summoning time in the real world had been extended by an hour. Both of them were very happy and then entered the 10th floor together. After leaving the safe zone, Du Hyuk felt extremely excited because this 10th floor felt very different. I can feel the rebalancing of my physical abilities inside the tower much more clearly, with overwhelming strength and a mysterious magical energy surging from my lower abdomen. Du Hyuk feels like he's become a wild, unruly horse now, and that feeling prompted him to pat Kosack on the shoulder and declare, "From now on, I will help you, Kosack." This sudden declaration made Kosack feel a bit confused, because if Du Hyuk had even a scratch on him, he would also want to bow and apologize. Nevertheless, he was still determined to help Kosack, but that determination didn't last long once this round's monster appeared. It was a giant praying mantis, and just its eyeball was several times larger than Du Hyuk's entire body. At this moment, only one question was on my mind. How could the other players possibly defeat this thing? Well, sending 2 people to catch such tiny insects feels a bit like a blow to my pride. I feel like my pride is being insulted. Although Du Hyuk was trembling so much he couldn't move, if I said I was scared, that would be too much, so I decided to just stand by and cheer for Kosack as usual. Over here, that mantis has already started attacking him. Because the opponent is too large, Kosack can't finish it off with a single strike like he did with the small monsters downstairs. However, Kosack's fierce fighting stance remained unchanged, and after unleashing a flurry of sword strikes, Kosack successfully defeated the enemy. He said last time that things would get harder on the 10th floor, but Du Hyuk still feels everything is as easy as before. Still 3 minutes, and he gains another demon crystal. And because he accumulated 10 platinum badges, Du Hyuk received an additional privilege. He was a bit nervous, eager to find out what privilege he would get, and the system did not disappoint him. Because Du Hyuk has gained the ability to copy a skill possessed by the entity he summons. Kosack has a skill list including Fierce Sword, Shockwave, Ambush, Poison Attack, Debo, Stealth, Harassment, Invisibility, Shapeshifting, and so on. Du Hyuk was dazzled. Before he could decide which skill to copy, Kosack immediately suggested, "Summoner Bong, choose the Stealth skill, no more arguing. The skill copy should appear in front of you now, right? Don't ask, don't think, learn the Dark Forest skill. Why?" Du Hyuk asked again. "It's very convenient to run away even if something happens to me. You can escape quietly and quickly." Kosack replied. His answer made you feel extremely indignant. Fleeing? What kind of person does Kosack think Du Hyuk is? Do you look like someone who would run away just to save yourself while your companion is in danger? But in the end, with his 100% seriousness, Du Hyuk still chose to pretend. You convince yourself that not only running away but also agility in combat is extremely important, because people still say that agility is the life of a fight. Dabo can naturally be very satisfied with your choice, so she starts watching TV attentively again. Sears, Du Hyuk, curious to see if Dabo can be used in the real world, runs to the rooftop to test it out. But it has no effect at all. In fact, it just makes me feel exhausted. If the system allows the summon ability to work in the real world, then this should be effective too, but there's no consistency at all. Duhai UC stammered, still full of confidence. Even though he didn't understand what you said, he still agreed with both hands and feet. The next morning, Duhai Us proactively called the Awakening Administration to inform them that he had awakened. Immediately, they sent a government assistant to his house as quickly as possible. Duhyuk had to make a call because he wanted to sell the magic stones. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of the Management Bureau, Director Min-A arrived at work feeling extremely exhausted. In recent days, many people had called to report their recent awakening, but it seemed no one was the owner of the S+C+ record. The impatience waiting for this young talent to appear has worn out everyone at the headquarters. Today is Duhyu's new registration, and coincidentally, both Mina-A and Kwang-In also want to come see for themselves. They are still very hopeful that this time will be the right person. If it really is, they will take you and the Tinhu team immediately, even if it means pouring all the benefits the Bureau can offer. At the same time, Duhai Huck, who was busy preparing the room for the guests, heard a knock on the door from outside. The people from the Management Bureau have arrived. It's Wang-In and Mina, and with a beautiful woman appearing in the house, Duhyuk feels a bit tense. Things got even more tense when manager Mina-A suddenly stepped closer and asked, "Is it you?" Duhyuk couldn't help but feel confused in front of Mina-A's question. What the hell is going on? Are you wondering if the people at the Management Bureau have some secret way to identify players that they don't know about? I guess I've heard about that too. Probably, but I'm not that person. Haha. Duhai Usi responds, but his tone of sincerity seems to betray him. The sharp gaze of the girl facing him seemed to see through this classic lying face, and the way she looked at Duhyuk made him feel like he was about to suffocate from the tension. It was only until Wang-In spoke. "Didn't I tell you not to let anything slip to pry out their answers, Coley?" "All right, sorry, boss," Min-A replied, of course, without a hint of remorse. Then Wang-In also apologized on behalf of his subordinates to Duhu for the rudeness earlier, and only after realizing they were just testing him and hadn't confirmed his identity did he finally breathe a sigh of relief. The three of them talked for a long time and naturally discussed a lot about the tower. No matter which country it appears in, the tower is always pitch black and gives off a very dangerous feeling. Its height far exceeds the tallest building in the world. 20 years ago, it appeared overnight in many countries. Every country sends scientists and soldiers to investigate, but no one can get close to it. The Black Tower seems to be blocked by an invisible wall. The answer to what the Black Tower actually is only appears when players, also known as the Awakened, show up. The tower functions like a game with multiple floors that players must pass through one by one. Outside the tower, the illusionary province is just made up of ordinary people, but inside they hold great power and abilities. The rewards gained from conquering the tower help upgrade their equipment and even boost the global economy. So, what happens if no one climbs the tower anymore? When the system detects that the progress in a country is too slow, it will lead to the collapse of the tower. And this countdown can be stopped if someone completes the next level of the tower. 6 months is the time before the tower collapses if no new level is conquered for too long. The entire country of Mumbai once disappeared like that when the countdown ended and the tower collapsed. Each country has between 1 and 3 towers. South Korea is luckier, as it only has one. Its location is deep within the mountains of Gangwon-do. The Korean Fake Awakening Management Agency estimates there are about 5,000 to 10,000 players nationwide, accounting for roughly 0.01 to 0.02% of the population. It's not a large number, but the country's progress in conquering the towers remains steady, second only to the US with a record of 66 floors. Therefore, at present, the people of Korea are still living peacefully because they know there are heroes who work daily to climb the towers and keep them safe. Just as humanity once explored new continents, now they explore mysterious, sky-high towers. And every time there is a notification that a new individual has awakened, humanity's next hope is rekindled. Hearing that overly promotional information, Duhai Yuki completed his mandatory orientation with each new awakener. Next, Wang-In needs to ask you a few questions to verify. Bong Duhaio, you really have awakened, right? Yes, I've entered the tower and completed a few levels. Duhai Hook replied, while also taking out some magic stones to make eggs. What level have you reached? Wang-In continued to ask. When Du Hyuk said he had completed level 10, he and Min-A instinctively looked at each other. Level 10 was the floor that the record holder S+C+ had just reached. This gave them even more reason to doubt whether the young man in front of them was that person or not. Minna couldn't hold back and asked, "Player Bong, have you heard about the recent global announcement?" As soon as this came up, Duhai Hook started to get tense. You just tell yourself to act naturally. Oh, that S+C++ record, huh? I've heard about it. Whoever made it, it's really impressive. Still, the truth has shown that you're not good at lying. The tension from Do-hyu was something both of them could clearly feel, but they weren't sure if he was truly nervous or just trying to deceive them. Because if Do-hyu really isn't the record holder and is just pretending to get benefits from the organization, then he's really getting a good deal. After all, today they already listed him as a suspect. Next is the signing of the contract. Wang In explained that the Fake Awakening Agency divides players into two groups. First is the Elite Assault Team. Second is the Regular Assault Team. Most players usually arrange their schedules and climb the tower freely, like freelancers. However, the Elite Team will work closely with the Fake Awakening Administration. Their mission is to conquer higher floors in exchange for numerous sponsorships, equipment, and security support. Because outside the tower, players are just ordinary people, and of course, the elite group members earn very high salaries. The more Wang Wai spoke, the more Du felt that if they found out he was S+C+, it would be over. He really couldn't face the media scrutiny. Du Haiyu really hates being the center of attention, so he decisively chose to join the regular team. Although the benefits of the Spirit team are great, and Wang In is also convincing me to join, the regular team is already fine with me. Honestly, I don't have that much talent, and that tower is really scary. I know, I'll just stay on a safe level and take my reward. That's enough, Du-hyuk said sincerely. Because he suspected that you were S+C++, Wang In remained patient in persuading Du-hyuk to join the elite team, but he still stubbornly refused. Min-ae listened outside the door and sighed as if she had just uncovered another valuable clue. Many people prefer to grind in the middle floors for easy and safe loot, but no one would openly admit it, like Du-hyu did. That statement has made you a coward unworthy of the elite position. True strength lies in determination. So in the end, they chose to respect Du-hyuk's decision and didn't press further. However, there is still one last step to confirm that Du-hyu must enter the tower now in front of Wang In and Mina. He can do a quick run while inside without wasting his daily turn. Wang In carefully explained, and Du-hyuk realized they were still testing him to see if he was the S+C++ player. All right, I'll take a turn once I go in, but it might take a while, up to 2 hours at most. Du Haiyu carefully replied. No problem, take your time, don't pressure yourself, we'll wait. Min-ae responded again. Then Du-hyuk put on a coat and entered the tower in front of the two witnesses. Now it's certain that he is a fake awakener. When Du-hyu is no longer here, Wang In asked, what do you think of him? Min said she couldn't really assess his talent, only that he seemed very shy, with all his movements hesitant and withdrawn. And if Du-hyuk is not truly S+C+, Mina-ae believes he would give up at level 11 because that's where players have to face their own fears. It's a giant centipede burrow, not exactly difficult, but terrifyingly gruesome. The player must kill 100 of those horrible monsters. And for someone as timid as Du-hyu, Mina-ae thinks he would faint on the spot or retreat to the safe zone and give up early. Mina-ae's judgment of new players has always been quite accurate. So Wang In also believed her. He was about to call the director to report that yet another case had fallen into a dead end. However, they really guessed wrong. After entering the tower and still being in the safe zone, Du-hyu summoned Kosack. This time, the time limit is 3 hours, and as Min-ae said, the mission is to kill 100 centipedes. Du-hyu's skin crawled at the mention of centipedes, but Kosack assured him that he would finish in 5 minutes. However, Du-hyu asked him to go slowly and steadily this time, absolutely not allowing the S+C+ ratings to appear after passing the tower. Why is that? Kosack asked curiously. Because today we are playing it safe, Du-hyuk explained. Those people just needed to ask me to come inside, but they probably wanted to prove that I wasn't the S+C+ record holder, so they forced me to clear this floor. Actually, Du-hyu didn't really want to lose his streak, but since he didn't want to reveal his identity, he had no choice but to accept. And so today, Seo still takes on the task of fighting monsters, while Du-hyu is responsible for monitoring the tower's progress. Everything was still going smoothly at a slow pace, until suddenly the monsters ambushed him, emerging abruptly from the ground, catching Du-hyun off guard. He knew he had to run, but his body refused to move. Kosack immediately rushed to save the hostage upon discovering this, following the 3 principles he must adhere to, with protecting the life of the summoner still being the most important. So in the urgency, Kosack sped up to eliminate the killers and complete the mission quickly. Realizing this speed was too fast, Du-hyuk shouted at him to slow down. But at this moment, your words no longer have any effect, because Du-hyu's safety comes first. And to do that, Kok needs to finish this mission quickly. Du-hyu's plan was completely ruined because of it, because they have already achieved S+C+ rank again. Outside, Min set a 5-minute timer, thinking this was the maximum time Du-hyu could endure on the 11th floor. However, when the clock struck, they received a familiar notification that the 11th floor of the Black Tower in Korea had been completed with S plus C plus rank, and at the same time, Doohoo reappeared before them. No way. As soon as the Bong player entered the tower, a clear S plus appeared right after. Min-A muttered, knowing she couldn't deny it this time. Doohoo then showed a very dangerous expression. C and S are also behind you, armed and looking deadly. 2. I really don't want to resort to this, but today, you will have to keep your mouth shut. Kosack crouched down, suddenly rushing forward. Doo-hyuk's voice rang out. Kosack! Kosack swung his sword forward, attacking Min-A and Kwang-in. Doo-hyuk's voice rang out sharply, commanding them to stop. Doo-hyuk saw the scene just now and screamed in fear. Doo-hyuk's face showed clear horror. He shouted loudly, I never said you should behead them. Kwang-in and Min both looked at Doo-hyuk and said together. Doo-hyuk's mental state became tense as he kept begging, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. The imagined scene of Doo-hyuk ending is over, and his voice echoes, sorry. Min-A looked at Doo-hyuk and said with difficulty, sorry. Kwang-in frowned and spoke softly. The player is bouncing. Kwang-in gently sits up. He asked, Are you okay? Why are you sweating so much? Doo-hyuk was startled and stammered, I'm sorry. His mind suddenly flashed to his delusional disorder, flaring up again. Doo-hyuk clears his throat and replies, Yes, I'm fine. Wang-in responds quietly, so he suggested, Then I'll say it again. Our elite team definitely needs a talent like you. Oh dear, there must be some misunderstanding. It must just be a coincidence with another player's completion time on level 11. How could it be such a coincidence? Oh, it's truly miraculous. Wang Wai squinted and said, But the timing was too perfect to call it a coincidence. It must be a coincidence. Sorry, I mean there are plenty of unexpected coincidences like that in the world. Wang-in looked a bit confused and asked, Is it really not you? Doo-hyuk quickly replied, Yes, no, absolutely not Wang. In sighed and said, I understand. Doo-hoo chuckled softly. I told you to keep it down. Wang-in took a folder from Mina's hand. He continued, So instead of confirming that you have awakened, we will prepare the contract. Doo-hoo looked at the contract in his hand, stunned, and exclaimed, This is an elite contract. I requested a standard contract. No, this is on a different level from a regular contract. In other words, this is the only contract of its kind in the industry, also known as the Elite Talent Contract. A line of text gradually appears at the top of the document, Elite Player Contract, with a special management target. An image of Doo-hyuk protected by bodyguards appears. Wang-in's voice echoes. An annual salary of 12 billion W plus, provided real estate, VIP ceremonies, and a meticulous security team. Wang-in's voice continues, saying, There's more. Tax exemption privileges. Doo-hyuk's mind suddenly flashes. So this is above the law, isn't it? Is this even allowed? Doo-hyuk sat still, eyes wide open, thinking. More like royalty than anything else. Wang-in's voice echoes, These benefits are currently only enjoyed by the top-ranked Korean players like Yoo Chae-on-min. Kwang Wai looked at Doo-hyuk with a respectful tone and said, See for yourself, it includes all the benefits a country can offer. Doo-hyuk hesitated but did not speak. Doo-hyuk closed his eyes, bowed his head slightly, and shouted, If it's not a standard contract, I won't be a player. Surprised expressions appeared on Kwang-in's face. He wondered why you were so strongly refusing. Doo-hyuk looked down at the floor and replied, I hate being the center of attention. Where did Chanu come from? He asked, What kind are you looking for? Sweat was streaming down Doo-hyuk's face. He whispered, No, I just came in by mistake. Doo-hyuk's thoughts appeared, Just get out of here. Doo-hyuk insists that feeling watched is very stressful. Another memory appears, Wang Shu bowing his head. He bowed politely. Are you a regular customer? You've been here many times, come back again tomorrow. Doo-hoo subtly turns his face, showing clear tension. He thought he would never be able to go there again. Doo-hy's voice echoed faintly, feeling so miserable. Min-A shows clear signs of helplessness. Hwang-ai frowns, thinking that basically he is a very introverted person. Doo-hyuk kneels on the ground, hands on the floor, muttering, It's really fun to climb the tower. Of course, but we're only on the 11th floor, right? The future is uncertain, and I myself am not sure about it anymore. Doo-hyuk gently lowers his head, deciding it's better to withdraw now. Guang-yi squints one eye and replies, I understand, so we will proceed with the standard contract. Wang-in and Doo-hyuk hold hands, thinking to themselves if anyone saw this, they'd be furious. They asked why I didn't sign the elite contract, accept the benefits, and climb the tower. But the elite contract comes with responsibilities equal to what I receive. Min-A and Wang-in turn their backs and walk away. Do-hyuk stands behind, his mind racing. Even if he wants to stop conquering the higher floors, he can't because that team was formed solely to reach the unexplored upper levels. Do-hoo looked back, thinking to himself, I refuse that kind of burden. As long as I can live more comfortably than before, I am satisfied. The scene shifts to the fake Han-nam-dong-seun management office, where a line of text appears. Han-nam-dong-seun, the fake consciousness management office. In a room, Kyung-shu sits beside the table. He told Wang-in, team leader John, this is completely different from the preliminary report. Didn't you say over the phone that he was a timid player with no desire to climb the tower? Wang-in clasped his hands behind his back and replied, that's right. Kyung-shu frowned and wondered, and someone like that achieved S plus C plus rank? Wang-in frowned. He answered yes. That tone of voice sounds a bit confused. I can't understand it. Wang-in continued. He seems to have a unique personality. The image of Do-hyu appears in Kwang-in's mind. He considers him a rare example of a petty bourgeois citizen. Kyung-shu gently lowers his head. He asks if maybe you guys have the wrong person. That's impossible. Then who cares if he's shy? That is an endless talent to be exploited. To bring him and the Tin Hue team at any cost. Wang Yi frowned, his tone deepening. Understood. Yes, Director, he will definitely be on the elite team. Back to Do-hyuk's room, he angrily shouts, I told you it was absolutely not allowed. Do-hyuk's thoughts flash through his mind, pretending to be indifferent. But what? We've been discovered. Kosack put his hands behind his back, bowed his head, and said, I'm sorry. Do-hyuk thought to himself, but pretending to be like this is really exhausting. He continued to fake a shout in anger. If you do that again, you won't get anything anymore. Cancel the summon immediately. Kosack stood still for a long time before softly replying, Yes, sir. The scene shifts to a floor of the tower, with the surrounding space covered in a cold, snowy hue. The system voice announces that you are entering the 12th floor of the Black Tower in Korea. The mission on this floor is to defeat 20 ice foxes. The time limit is 3 hours, and the goal is to defeat 20 Shonjiao, with failure resulting in death or quitting the mission. Do-hyuk clenched his fists and said to Kosack, who just appeared, Take it easy and do it slowly. Kosack raises his hand, forming a gesture of pledge, and loudly declares, absolutely loyal. Do-hyuk smiles, his eyes fixed on Kosack, a look of pride in his mind. Good, he responded quickly. It seems we can trust him this time. If we clear normally from the 12th floor onward, the management bureau will lose interest. Suddenly, Do-hyuk froze, as if turned to ice, his mind screaming, but the cold was overwhelming. Do-hyuk's whole body shivered from the cold. I thought I was prepared, but I didn't expect it to be this cold. Kosack, after enduring a bit, turned his face back, calling out Bong the summoner, his expression tense. Kosack's face grew uneasy. He asked, Are you okay? Do-hyuk replied softly, Yes, I can still endure it. Kosack said loudly, I will finish this as quickly as possible and escort you to a warm room. As soon as he finished speaking, Kosack turned his back and ran quickly backwards. Do-hyuk stands from afar and barely manages to say, No, I'm fine, just take your time to listen. Kosack quickly rushes ahead, taking down numerous wolves along the way. Kosack shouted, If there's any mistake, you'll catch a cold. Cold is a deadly disease. The life of the summoner Bong is in danger. Do-hyuk closes his eyes, his voice slightly tired. Obey absolutely and follow my instructions. A notification appears in front of Do-hyuk. You have achieved S plus rank for level 12 of the Black Tower in Korea. Platinum badge awarded. Switching to the management office, Wang-in presses his phone to his ear, his tone serious. Player Bong Do-hyu, did you just complete level 12? Do-hyu's voice echoes from the other end of the line. Yes, but level 13 will probably be more difficult. Do-hyuk stands still holding the phone, as Kosack from behind scratches his head and smiles, saying, It's warm now, please rest assured, sir. Kosack walks toward the TV and says, Let's watch TV. Do-hyuk raises a hand toward Kosack and shouts, Cancel the summoning. Tears started to flow from Do-hyuk's eyes. He whispered, No one told you to watch TV? There's no reward for disobedience. Cut to a scene where the space shifts to a large room filled with numerous traps. A caption appears. Tower 13 of the Black Tower. Do-hyuk's voice echoes, stating that the mission is to pass through a corridor full of deadly traps. Suddenly they grabbed Do-hyuk and he whispered, It's really impossible here because there are many variables, so the summoner Bong might get hurt. Do-hyuk was surprised and shouted, Wait, hold Do-hyuk and run forward. He said loudly, The trap mechanism breaks quickly. You have achieved S plus rank for the 13th floor of the Black Tower in Korea. Switching to another floor of the tower. A sign appears for the 14th floor of the Black Tower. Do-hyuk stands in the distance. You watch helplessly as Kosack fights against countless enemies. His voice echoes. The giant eyeball bat's sound wave attack has a wide range, so Summoner Bong will take damage. I'll handle it before that happens. A notification appears. You have successfully ranked S++ for the 14th floor of the Black Tower in Korea. Do Hyuk's mind appears. All right then. What will come, will come. A line of text gradually appears on the phone screen. The other bank's money from selling magic stones is 2.75 million W, and the support fund for regular players is 2 million. Duhu observes his phone, resting his chin on one hand, thinking. He mumbles that the magic stone sales are 2.75 million and the support fund for regular players is 2 million, because the magic stones received from rewards on floors 11 to 14 amount to 5 kilograms. If I add another 2.5 million, Duhuk smiles, his mind excited. I've earned more than 7 million in 14 days, if I keep going up to level 20 like this without any problems. In Duhuk's imagination, countless bills surround him. His mind analyzes that just the reward for magic stones is at least 2 kilograms, so selling through the management bureau would earn him 1 million a day without any fees or taxes. A true daily income is 1 million. A life with a monthly salary of 30 million W is waiting for me, so I can quit my part-time job. The scene shifts to the next day. A caption appears. The next day, a voiceover sounds. Zu Kosack has been summoned as designated. Zu Kosack appears, then bows his head to the ground and says, I am absolutely loyal. You have given a traitor like me 5 stars. I really appreciate it. Duhuk stepped back a few paces and said, from level 15 onwards, just clear freely, I won't ask you to slow down anymore. Are you really okay? Du-Hai-Yu-Si scratches his head with one hand, sighs and says, anyway, the management bureau has figured everything out. Du-Hai-Yu-Chi's mind suddenly flashes, and if I get S+C+ on the 15th floor, I will earn 15 platinum badges. Du-Hai-Yu-Si smiled, thinking that the chance of gaining another privilege was very high. I'm surprisingly becoming greedy because these privileges make me much safer when they accumulate. Du-Hai-Yuk raised one hand forward and shouted, let's go, Kosack. Kosack raised his hand in greeting and responded loudly. The scene shifts to a forest filled with many elves, as a notification announces the entry into the 15th floor of the Black Tower in Korea. The mission on the 15th floor is to defeat 20 goblin workers. Du-Hyuk hides behind a tree and observes. You think the humanoid monster you saw for the first time has some intelligence, although quite low. From this point on, clearing will become complicated even with enough information. He senses his surroundings and whispers, as long as one escapes, it will lead the others away. The goblin gang are cunning. Please hide very well. He leans forward, smiling confidently, and says, I will destroy them in one go in return. His body gradually turns invisible. Du-Hyuk, don't stay far away, I'm thinking. It's a stealth skill. I wonder if I can learn it someday. Kosack swiftly moves through the forest, taking down countless enemies. Du-Hyuk's mind exclaims, he's crazy. So many demons are defeated by Kosack. Du-Hyuk watches in amazement, thinking to himself, they die without even knowing it. A notification appears, indicating the completion of the 15th floor mission, with a reward of 1.5 kilograms of demon crystal and exclusive healing potion from the 5th tower. Both Du-Hyuk and Kosack gradually vanish. The system voice announces that you have achieved an S+C+ conquest rating for the 8th floor of the Black Tower of Korea. The S+ conquest reward includes the owner's emblem, and you can attempt the 16th floor, now leaving the Black Tower of Korea, as Kosack and Du-Hyuk teleport back to their apartment. Du-Hyuk raised his hand forward and shouted, the platinum badges appear before Du-Hyuk, totaling 15 platinum badges. Du-Hyuk glanced at the pile of badges and confirmed, of course, this time as well, a line of text appeared, granting a privilege for accumulating 15 platinum badges. Du-Hyuk thought to himself, nice, it's here. Du-Hyuk smiled triumphantly, thinking that when he collected 5 badges, the enhancement privilege appeared at 10 badges. So is the skill. Copying privilege? What will it be this time? An image of a bracelet appears, and the system voice announces that the reward for collecting 15 platinum badges has been granted. The energy shield reward has been transferred to the tower's dedicated inventory. Du-Hyuk looked at the item he just received, thinking about the energy shield. Du-Hyuk puts the bracelet on his wrist, his eyes full of anticipation. A notification appears. The energy shield, a protective layer that absorbs damage to defend the user. The limit disappears after absorbing a certain amount of damage with a cooldown of 5 hours, and the shield effect adjusts according to the level. Instantly, an invisible armor seems to envelop Du-Hyuk's body, and his mind is filled with thoughts. In short, it's a full-body armor without any exclusive branding or tower-spreading aura, meaning a source of power that radiates through Du-Hyuk's body. He smiled contentedly, thinking that I can also use the energy shield in real life. Du Hyusi glanced at the bracelet on his wrist and wondered, how much could I sell this for on the market? 2 billion, 3 billion sell. Quash then stopped climbing the tower. Du Hyusi raised his head and suddenly changed his mind, saying, no, the higher the level, the better the reward. He looked at Kosack and asked, Kosack, can you clear the S+ level on the 16th floor right away? Cleaving through the screen is manageable, but we need to be cautious. I'm not sure I can guarantee an S++. Du Hu was a bit surprised and exclaimed, really? Du Hyusi's thoughts are full of confusion, so what should I do now? Kosack smiled gently and asked, what's going on? Du Hyuk raised his hand forward, looking at the bracelet and thinking to himself, selling this bracelet, huh? The scene shifts back to the fake awakening management office, with Kung Shu sitting beside the desk. He wondered, how long has the S+C++ level completion notification been paused? Min-A squinted slightly and said, today marks half a month. Kwang-Wai looked at Kyung-Shu and continued, it seems he's stuck on level 15. Kyung-Shu held his head with one hand and slammed his fist on the table. He cried out helplessly, the heavens really have no eyes giving such talent to an extremely cowardly player. Kwang-Wai holds his phone, eyes directed over there. He quickly announces, is Bong Du-Huk the player heading to the fake awakening management office? He wants to use the player shop. Q gently nudged him awake, one hand clenched. He was stunned and shouted, player shop? Could it be the image of Du-Huk appearing in Q's mind? His voice rang out, do you think grinding level 15 is easy money for gear? Kwana now looked away and continued, seems like it. Last time I checked his house, I saw he was empty-handed. Kung Shu slammed both hands on the table and urged, why is there such a fool? We've mistaken the Bong player for someone else. The scene shifts to a forest, with Kung Shu's voice echoing faintly. When the Bong player arrives, support them with whatever they want at the lowest price. A message appeared 15 days ago. Kok furrows his brow, clearly confused. He asks, yes, sir, what did you just say? Du Hyatsi rolled up his shirt, pointed to his stomach, and said, stab me. Kosack, holding a knife, trembled all over. He hesitated. With this knife? Kosack covered his face with one hand, leaning back and said loudly, why me? If you hate me, just kill me already. Damn it. If you're scared, just stab my hand. I'm just testing if the energy shield works properly. My mind flashes. No one said to kill, it's just stabbing. Why make such a fuss? Kosack shook his head repeatedly, saying, non-stop, I can't hear anything. I'm deaf, I can't hear anything at all. Du Hyuk became angry, shouting, I'm so pissed off. Du Hyusi grabbed Kosack's wrist and stabbed the weapon into his own stomach, blood pouring out instantly. He calmly said, let me handle this myself. Du Hyuk was startled, pouring the recovery potion on the wound he just stabbed, and loudly said, damn it, I forgot to activate the shield when I stabbed. Kosack looked at the dagger in his hand and cried out loudly, this broken hand dared to stab the summoner, tear it off. Du Hyuk turned his face back and ordered him to sit still. A notification appeared, the healing effect has been applied. Kosack approaches, grabbing Du Hyuk by the shoulders, shouting, you can't do that anymore. Du Hyuk closes his eyes and hesitantly says, I know, let's finish the hunt. Kojiak lowers his hand, speaks softly and says yes. Kojiak charges forward, taking down countless monsters along the way. Du Hyuk watches from afar, contemplating that he can finish the hunt in just 10 minutes. Du Hyuk moves himself, deciding to take the chance to practice his skills. He gently lowers his head and softly shouts, Dabo! Immediately, everything about Du Hyuk's body seemed to change, his eyes wide as he looked ahead. Du Hyuk lightly pushed off with his foot and his entire body glided swiftly across the ground. Du Hyuk smiled, his eyes looking back. Is this what the feeling is like? Du Hyusi continued to rush forward like an arrow, thinking to himself why Kosack taught this first. Moving completely freely, it was perfect for escaping. Suddenly Du Hyuk stopped, noticing something ahead, and shouted, huh! A goblin was hiding near a bush, its red eyes glaring at Du Hyuk. Du Hyuk looked at the monster, a hint of surprise crossing his mind. The goblin backed away a few steps, fearing that this was the Kosack hiding here. Before he could grasp the situation, the goblin suddenly charged at Du Hyuk, roaring with fury. Du Hyusi is startled, reaching out with his hand and shouting shield, then kicking forcefully to send the demon flying backward. He shouted, take this. On the other side, Kohai fights alone. He turned his head back and saw the monster that Du Hyuk had kicked flying towards him. Kosack immediately swung his sword to kill the demon, then smiled and said, nice kick. Like a football. Suddenly Kosack opened his eyes as if he realized something from Du Hyuk. Kosack crouched down, rushing toward Du Hyuk while shouting for the summoner. He stopped in front of Du Hyuk and asked worriedly, are you okay? Kojiak raised Du Hyuk's arm, checking his body as he asked, "No, did you fight the goblin? How do you feel now? Are you hurt anywhere?" "I'm fine." Kosack raised both hands and shouted, "I've told you many times, being too brave isn't good. Are you a summoner or what?" "Sorry, I will be more careful." It's so noisy. The images of the magic stones appear. Du Hyuk's voice echoes, and after half a month grinding through level 15, he's also gotten used to the skills. The accumulated demon crystal weight is 22.5 kilograms with a market value of 11.25 million. Scene transition to Du Hyu's apartment. Guangming's voice echoes. The player is stunned. "Thank you for reaching out." "Hello, can I come to the player shop now?" "Of course, we will send someone to your place right away." Du Hyuk replied quietly, hesitating. "No, I will come by myself." Wang In smiled softly, saying, "Don't worry. This is a benefit even regular contract signers have." Du Hyuk hesitated before agreeing, so the car carrying Du Hyuk stopped in front of the awakening manager's office. "It's been a while, Bong player." Kwang In bowed slightly, his tone formal and warmly welcoming you to the Bureau of Management. Du Hyu bowed in greeting and replied, "Hello." Du Hyu's mind suddenly flashes, so this is truly VIP treatment. Wang In's voice echoes, inviting him in. The scene shifts as Du Hyu places his hand on a control panel and a voice announcement sounds. "From now on, you can come to use the store anytime without calling ahead. Do you need a shopping guide?" Du Hyuk scratched his head, smiled faintly, and then declined. "No, I will look myself." Du Hyuk raised his hand forward as the store's door suddenly opened, and a system voice welcomed him to the player store. Du Hyuk glanced inside the store, which looked very dazzling and beautiful. He wondered why there were no customers despite the luxurious facilities designed for players. Is the equipment too shabby? But first, sell the magic stones. Hyeongshu raised his hand toward Du Hyuk's pile of magic stones and said, "The market value is 11.25 million W and will be transferred to your account within 3 days. Du Hyuk rubbed his cheek with one hand and hesitated. "Can I use this money here?" "Of course, you can use it immediately." Du Hyuk turned and walked away, his mind filled with thoughts. "Let's buy quickly and go home." Hyeongshu stands behind, smiling brightly. He said loudly, "The shopping fever. Have a pleasant shopping experience." The scene shifts inside Kungshu's office, his voice echoing. "Are the players' shopping trips going smoothly?" "Yes, I am checking it now. I've already informed the other players that the store is closed today." Kyungshu looked at Wang In and asked, "And what about the prices?" Wang In put his hands behind his back and replied, "I've instructed the staff to sell at a 90% discount. Shy people might refuse free items because they feel pressured." Kyungshu spoke, his tone somewhat satisfied. "Well done." The scene shifts back to Du Hyu's apartment as the time now moves into sunset. In the room, Du Hyu is holding a new weapon. A caption appears saying the hammer costs 2 million W. He also bought a new pair of shoes, which is displayed on the screen, costing 3 million W. Du Hyuk stares intently at the hammer in his hand and exclaims, "I heard even ordinary items cost 20 to 30 million W. The team leader personally came out to greet him, and Du Hyuk frowned, raising his voice, looking like he already knew the special treatment. Nothing in this world is free. It's too stressful. Du Hyuk glanced down at his new shoes. "You think it's just happiness, but those shoes are really beautiful. You think because you already have full-body energy shield armor for defense, and all of this is thanks to this reward." Du Hyuk gazes into the distance, a smile forming on his lips, his mind racing. He had decided not to be greedy when climbing the tower, but the reward is too tempting. The scene shifts to a text overlay, and the next day a notification sounds. Zonkak has been summoned. Kosack appears, raising his hand in a greeting gesture. He shouted loudly, "Loyalty. Greetings to Summoner Bong. It's a great honor to be called by you today. Are you going to go back and do the mission on the 15th floor?" Du Hyuk waved his hand and said, "No, go to the 16th floor." Du Hyuk smiled softly and whispered, "The summoning skill has recharged." As soon as Du Hyuk finished speaking, Ko smiled brightly. Ko shouted loudly, his voice full of excitement, summoning another person. Du Hyuk raises his hand forward, his mind appearing. "Please, please." Du Hyuk keeps reciting the spell. "Oh my God, please grant me this wish. Please, abracadabra." A random summon. Suddenly, a human figure gradually appeared in front of Du Hyuk and froze. "What is that?" Wait a moment. The human just summoned grew bigger and even pierced through the ceiling above. Du Hyuk looked clearly terrified, helplessly thinking what on earth was just summoned. "My home." Gobang's arms and legs radiated a strong internal energy as he easily lifted a large stone with his bare hands. Du Hyuk looked on in silent horror. Is it a human or a monster? Kosack suddenly rushed over and sat down to watch. Idiot, you stood behind, startled and wide-mouthed. He rushed over, stomping hard on Go Bang's face, then angrily kicked him repeatedly. Why is it you? Die, I will kick your head off. What attitude is that? Calm down. You bastard, do they know each other? Du Hyuk secretly sweats, feeling no pain like scratching an itch. Go Bang's eyes flashed, his face suddenly turning fierce. He brandished 2 knives with murderous intent. All right, let's see if you can still talk after I cut off your head. I'll make a pretty bow for you. After finishing speaking, Kosack rushed forward. Du Hyuk quickly stepped between the two, stopping him. He tearfully said, the roof being broken is enough, seriously. He quickly knelt down and obediently listened. Yes, sir, I suggest Kosack sit aside and help me. I need to talk to this new friend of mine. Kosack suddenly spoke. No need, sir. That guy is very notorious. Seeing your confusion, he explained, in our world, he's famous for being a fool, and maybe he doesn't even know the 3 principles. Go Bang hesitated and tried to defend himself, saying, I know the 3 principles, I've memorized them. Kosack couldn't help but mock, so try reading it out loud. He raised his finger and stammered as he read. First, obey the summoner's orders absolutely. Second, prioritize understanding the issue before fighting. The third is him pointing at Go Bang and shouting angrily, see? You hit the fake one. We have to kill him so he can't be summoned for 100 days. Du Hyuk looked over in confusion. Is there really such a rule? The system display shows a list of foolish beastman shields from the Great Prairie Tribe with an unknown name. The rare warrior class currently summoned is a human beast, with a 10-hour duration and no satisfaction level. The respawn time is 3 hours after canceling the summon. You press the screen, thinking that this is the lowest rank you can withdraw. Probably tired of waiting a month, so they withdrew. Du Hyuk reluctantly became the interviewer. You go first. What's your name? Go Bang replied. Hong knows. I forgot. You should say hello. Do you know why you're here? He continued to answer. I don't know, Du Hyuk asked again. And what about the tower? Gang honestly answers. I don't know. I don't remember. He silently felt annoyed. So bitter. Du Hyuk was about to read the detailed description when he suddenly froze. His whole body was pulled into another space. Again, just like the curse I am being pulled into his memories. Immediately after, Du Hyuk appears in a vast flower field. Where is this? Go Bang looked at the butterflies around him. What a beautiful butterfly. He is the fierce warrior of the grassland tribe. A pure soul finds happiness just by immersing itself in nature. But setting aside his innocence, a pack of wild wolves from the plains slowly approaches behind Go Bang. His physical strength is top tier. He was hugging and kissing the 2 wolves. Want to play together? I like playing too. Unfortunately, he's too stupid. Arius smiled slyly. Just as the rumor said, you're really huge. He looked up and asked, I am Arius. What is your name? Go Bang stupidly replied. I don't know. I forgot so much I can't even remember my own name. In the end, he was betrayed by a fake hero and used as a flesh shield in the battle against the super monster Hydra. With his strong body, he was able to withstand Hara's breath and fight back. He tore off its head piece by piece without realizing his own flesh was melting away. His only thought was to protect his comrades, but he fell to the accumulated acid breath that melted him alive. He walks away amid the mocking laughter of his teammates, who are laughing heartily. What a fool. Thanks to you, we won easily. He stands before Go Bang's massive skeleton and quietly admires it. This is why he's called the Flesh Shield. Du Hyuk pursed his lips, lowered his face, and muttered curses under his breath. Damn it. So what if you're a little silly? You raise your hand to shake his. Welcome. Let's climb the tower together. Du Hyuk takes Go Bang's finger and starts by naming him. Do you prefer Yama or Go Bang? He whispered softly. I don't know. You? Repeat the question once more. Just pick a name. Yaman or Go Bang? Go Bang smiled and said, Go Bang. Du Hyuk excitedly points at himself and declares, Then my Go Bang, I will make you happy. Just trust me. He trusts and speaks. Go Bang believes in the summoner. He said, do as I say. You turn to speak to Kosack. Kosack, Go Bang and I. From now on, the 3 of us will be teammates working happily together. Why is he trembling and turning pale? A sudden wicked idea flashes through his mind. Having finished his calculations, he smiles to win favor. What else is there to say? Now that I look closely, he's a very reliable meat shield. I will train him properly and teach him to become a good person. Du Hyuk is so excited. All right, then let's go to the 16th floor now. Kosack obediently responds, yes. He suddenly stepped forward in front of Go Bang. Hey Go Bang, are you not going to answer? He looked at him blankly. Yes. He loudly scolds with a commanding tone, don't imitate me. That idiot looked at those 2 people and secretly judged them, a cowardly and pathetic player, a crazy assassin, and a simple-minded meat shield. It sounds like a disaster team. But then all 3 of them entered the 16th floor of the Black Tower in Korea. The physical attributes have been enhanced and combat skills and traits are now available. Du Hyuk silently affirms, "We can do this." The system displays a notification. Clear the 16th floor by defeating 30 goblin scouts. You have a 5-hour time limit to defeat over 30 goblins. Failure means death or abandoning the mission. Sakdan Dao says, "Summoner Bong, please activate your energy shield and be ready to use your dagger at any moment." He followed him and replied, "It's got it." Kosack continued to warn, "They shoot poison needles, so we don't know when they'll appear." Behind the trees now, the goblin lens with blue skin emerged. It crouched behind Du Hyu, aiming its weapon straight at his head. Then the goblin took a deep breath and blew strongly into the tube. A bow was shot immediately after, flying straight at them, but Kosack clenched his fist to block it. Then he shouted loudly, "There's an ambush," and the GOP Lin rushed quickly toward the three of them. Kosack, while blocking the arrows, shouted, "Get out of the way, I will hold them off for you," and quickly hid behind a large rock, calculating silently. "They have been waiting for us. It seems there are more than 50 of them." Du Yu turned to order Go Bang. Gaou stepped forward to block again. After hearing the order, his eyes flashed fiercely and his face became ferocious. Go Bang channels his inner strength, stomps his feet hard on the ground, then leaps into the air, limbs spread wide. The crowd of GOP Lin, seeing the situation is unstable, quickly scatters in all directions, leaving Kosack Dong alone. He couldn't help but be stunned and turned his head to look back. At the same time, Go Bang descended from above, knocking many Goblin away, and Kosack was also unable to avoid being sent flying, left suspended in midair. "Hey, you bastard!" Dahayuk hid behind a rock, secretly watching in amazement. "Oh no, they are all overwhelmed. The goblin horde keeps using their old tricks, shooting countless arrows that pierce into his back." Go Bang glared and growled, unbothered as if scratching an itch. He shouted loudly, obeying the order to kill them all. After finishing, he immediately charged at the goblin gang. Ha-Hawk opened his mouth in silent disbelief. Is this guy only ranked now? In terms of combat ability, he's at least SR rank, maybe even SSR. Could it be that he's ranked lower just because he's not very smart? After chopping and killing, the three of them returned to find the table full of hot golden chicken drumsticks. Gobang chewed on a drumstick and praised happily. "The chicken is so delicious." Dahayusi smiled and said, "Go Bang, you did well. Eat as much as you like." The chicken suddenly burst out with meat. "Which lady's chicken is this, and why is it so spicy?" He saw that and teased him. A spicy-eating assassin looks like a fool. You helplessly watch the two of them. Can't they get along even a little? While eating, Go Bang suddenly spoke up. "Summoners are good people." He solemnly pounded his chest and said, "Feed Bang chicken." Go Bang promised to give his life. Even if Hyuok is praised, he shyly touches his nose. "Compared to what you did, those pieces of chicken are nothing." Suddenly, Jock kicked Go Bang in the face. "He's not a chicken, he's not a fool." You couldn't help but get angry and scold him, startling him. "Why are you bullying someone who's just enjoying their meal?" "I'm about to get emotional." Kosack droops her shoulders and lowers her head. "Sorry, sir, I just thought Go Bang needed a little lesson." He secretly thought, looking at that bastard during the summoner's careless moment. The next day, the system notified you that you had entered level 17 of the Korean Black Tower. Your physical abilities have been enhanced to match your level. Combat attributes and skills are now available. Dahuk rolled up his sleeves to reveal his chiseled muscles. He quietly thought to himself, now that he's level 17, he can feel the source of power gradually flowing through him. Dahuk tenses up with excitement, his heart pounding. Is the wild horse inside me awakening again? Very well, it's time for me to join the battle. The ones moving forward said, "Getting close to level 20 is when people tend to become complacent. Summoner Bong, I will lead the way to protect Summoner Bong." Go Bang also agreed. The summoner needs to fall back to survive. He tiredly responds from the back, and the notification board shows the mission to kill 30 goblin warriors on the 17th floor. The group of goblin warriors has formed a line and is ready to fight. Duhiu watched the scene and thought to himself that it looked normal when he saw other players' tutorial videos. You secretly sweat, but seeing it with your own eyes, it's truly terrifying. There are at least 90 of them here. Even though they're monsters, these guys are very skilled at tactics. The tutorial I watched before entering said so. When the goblin warriors appear, first retreat to a safe zone, then wait a moment before returning. Their forces will naturally disperse, and they will patrol in groups of 3. Lure and kill each group without drawing attention, then repeat until successful. Although this is a standard strategy, it takes quite a bit of time. Du Hyuk thought to himself, but suddenly called out to Go Bang. Go Bang looked confused and turned around to ask, "The summoner is calling me." Du Hyuk thought arrogantly. "No need for that complicated process. Just point forward and calmly give the order. Let's go." Upon hearing the command, he threw back his head and roared loudly. Do-hyuk confidently calculated that now with Gang here, he could easily reach the 20th floor or even higher. You just point at the goblin soldiers, grin, and give the order to wipe them out. Do-hyuk can't help but wonder what the next reward will be. After a loud roar, Go-bang charged towards the goblin warriors. The lead one shouted loudly, pointed an order, and the goblin warriors quickly formed a disciplined formation. He still remained fearless and charged forward like an arrow. With just one charge from Gang, the goblin warriors were knocked far away. They fell to the ground, weapons scattering everywhere. Do-hyuk watched and couldn't help but secretly curse with excitement. Crazy. He silently imagined that tactics only work when the levels are similar, like 1,000 bicycles trying to fight a K2 brake Panther tank. It's hopeless. The system now announces that you have achieved S2+ rank on the Korean Black Tower, with the Platinum Badge reward for completing S2+. Do-hyuk grinned widely and said something amazing. Kosack from this side looked at him in horror, frozen in place. The system displays a mission to summon an 18th floor goblin assassin and defeat 30 goblin assassins. The 18th floor is a goblin assassin, and all three are surrounded by goblin assassins. Do-hyuk pointed forward and ordered the attack. Immediately, Goang charged forward like an arrow. Surprisingly, they are monsters using stealth skills. The goblin assassins reappeared from behind the trees. He looked around in confusion, seeing no one around and feeling bewildered. He sweat as he looked at him. Do-hyuk sighed heavily. This might not be as easy as I thought. Go-bang wildly swings his arms in the air as he steps forward. The assassins are all cowards, and the forest is just full of green trees. Suddenly, a loud laugh echoed loudly, and a confident smile appeared as he crossed his arms. You have endured watching that idiot Go-bang's strategy until now. I will dazzle you with a top-tier performance. He also started using stealth skills. The goblin's stealth ability is nothing compared to mine. Yes, sir. With a few slashes, I can wipe out all the goblin assassins. The system keeps displaying notifications about completing the goblin assassin quest. You stare blankly at his slash marks. There is a sinister smile. Dewey suddenly reveals a wicked grin. He's bitten the bullet now. You secretly guess that Kock is getting anxious because his screen time has been reduced lately due to Go-bang. He kicked Go-bang's head to make him step back. That brat. He clapped his hands together and said, I'll help too. Do-hyuk quietly feels satisfied. Their competitive blood has been triggered. He raises his arm full of spiritual power, secretly feeling happy. Work hard and earn some badges for me. I need to keep upgrading these good skills with these privileges first. Do-hyuk calmly raises his weapon, and I've already reached level 18. You tense your body to gather internal energy, unleashing your hidden strength. Do-hyuk's head now transforms into that of a horse. Let the wild horse go free. You secretly feel a thrill. I checked all the instructions before entering level 18. Do-hyuk is secretly planning. The goblin assassin's stealth skill is only low level, so if I focus, I can detect their movements. My face suddenly becomes serious. There's nothing to fear because I've practiced my mental resilience enough from grinding through level 15. Do-hyuk charged at a goblin assassin, but he slipped and made a noise. The goblin assassin noticed him, and he silently felt helpless as he lost his balance. But luckily, while losing his balance, Do-hyuk's weapon precisely struck the goblin assassin's head. The system immediately announced that the goblin assassin kill count was now 10 out of 30. He stammered, got it. Do-hyuk thought to himself, anyway, the first hunt on the 18th floor was successful. Suddenly, a goblin assassin lunged at him from behind. At this moment, things were going very smoothly on the Kosack spot, and he was easily handling them one by one. Goblin assassin completion condition. 18 out of 30. Good. Goblin assassin completion conditions 25 over 30 and 27 over 30. Kosack cheerfully said, there are 3 more. He suddenly looked over at Go-bang, who was now raising his fist. Go-bang uses all his strength to spin around, knocking the 3 hidden goblin assassins away. He said with satisfaction. Go-bang continued to assist. He angrily scolds, get out! You're blocking my way. He suddenly wondered curiously. Where is the summoner? A spear shot towards Do-hyuk from above, but he quickly dodged to the side, narrowly escaping death. Do-hyuk nervously touches his head, thinking he would definitely die without an energy shield, but at this moment, 2 goblin assassins rush towards him simultaneously. Could it be that adrenaline is surging through him as he easily dodges the 2 sword strikes? The goblin's sword seems to be moving in slow motion, as if the world is slowing down. You turned the tide and defeated the 2 goblin assassins. The system then announced that you achieved S2+ rank in the Korean Black Tower with the S2+ Platinum Badge as a reward. A figure rushes over. Summoner Bong. Do-hyuk looked at him and said, I think I just got hit with the finishing blow. I feel like I'm kneeling on the ground crying like Summoner Bong. In another place, Min-ae looked up at the screen in amazement. It's the global announcement for level 18, successfully completed S2+ rank. Kyungshu slammed the table with a bang. All right. Wangin also spoke up. Truly unstoppable, it seems he has prepared himself very thoroughly. He enthusiastically shared his opinion. I think I want to publicly declare right now that the person who holds the record for completing S2+18 floors in a row in Korea is this person. Wangin chuckled and said, "Don't joke like that." She serious added, "It would be very dangerous if his identity is revealed." Kyungshu laughs heartily. "I just feel proud of him." Wangin solemnly states that Bong Do-hyu is now the top player who needs to be cared for more than the entire team. On TV, the announcer slowly reports that a new wave is sweeping through the Korean tower climbing community. After a 20-day break, an incredible achievement of 18 consecutive floors with S2+ rank has been reached. This is an unprecedented record, and the history of tower climbing is being rewritten. This mysterious player is currently estimated to be at level 19. Not only players, but the whole country is also curious about the identity of this S2+ ranked player. Suddenly, the TV was turned off by someone. Kosack sighed deeply and picked up the remote. Do-huk, sitting nearby, also doesn't look very good. He suddenly speaks up and says, "Brother Ko, don't sigh like that. If you have something to say, just say it." He froze and replied, "Yes, sir, too fast." Do-hyuk asked in confusion. "What is it?" Kosack said seriously, "The speed at which you recognized your own talent. You point at yourself in confusion and ask, what? What talent? Who? It's probably not me, right?" Do-hyuk smiled shyly and waved his hand, saying, "Don't joke around." He remained silent, thinking to himself that it was no joke. The intimate skill that Summoner Bong used at the end was a perfect move, so much so that even I found it hard to replicate. That only made it more dangerous. They seriously said, "No, Lord Bong, it's true. You will gradually find joy in fighting and become more confident. The danger level will increase proportionally. Acting brave means risking death. We promised each other from the start, right? Safety comes first, preserving our lives." Do-hyuk looked at him blankly. "Yes, of course. I will never do anything risky, just catch one or two." The others are quietly considering his words. He looked at Kosack's bewildered face, secretly feeling a premonition of misfortune. He held his head and cried silently in despair, summoning our master, convinced that someday he would cause trouble. Gobang sitting behind, he chuckled and said, "What is that assassin crying about? What a fool." As soon as she finished speaking, Kosack kicked towards Gobang, shouting, "I will kill you now." Her kick sent Gobang flying backward, and his entire body crashed into the nearby refrigerator. The food stored in the fridge flew out. Do-hyuk saw the scene and shouted helplessly, "My fridge!" Do-hyuk raises his hand forward. Kosack and Gobang gradually disappear. He shouts, and they stop destroying the house and all leave. "Oh no, even the delicious kimchi is ruined. Mom made it just for me." Outside, the sky gradually turns to the golden hue of sunset. Do-hyuk's voice echoes, "Maybe I should go home tomorrow to visit my parents and clear my mind." The scene shifts to an apartment complex where Do-hyuk is walking up the stairs. A line of text appears. The next morning, Do-hyuk stood in front of an apartment door, pushed it open, and called out loudly, "I'm home." Do-hyuk turns his eyes toward the inside of the apartment. A familiar voice calls out, "You're back, huh? You should visit home more often. It's not that far away. Soon, your mother will forget what you look like." Jum glances at Suan and says impatiently, "Stop it, don't be so lazy, the boy is busy." Do-hyuk opened his eyes wide and asked anxiously, "How are Dad's joints?" Suan struggled to sit up, his voice trembling. "You think a broken bone heals easily? Dad has been lying in bed all day." Do-hyuk approached and advised, "Just stay lying down." Shuchan's whole body trembled as he dismissed it, saying it's okay to sit up a little. Jumza puts on an apron and says, "Sit down, I've cooked some stew." Do-hyuk held Swan in his arms and asked, "Where is she?" Jumja gently turned back and replied, "Min-hyuk just went to buy tofu and should be back soon." The scene shifts to a pot of kimchi soup placed on the table, steam rising continuously into the air. These days, things at home have been really tough, right? Don't worry, Mom will find a job soon. Tuan looked at Do-hyuk and continued, "Don't worry about your parents, just live your life well, don't always think about sending money home." Do-hyuk narrowed his eyes. "Do you think I should try to find out a little?" Do-hyuk suddenly spoke. "If I awaken right now, that would be great." Suan slammed his hand on the table, his voice full of shock. "Do-hyuk, don't tell me it's you." Do-hyuk was startled, feeling confused. "Already exposed just after starting?" Do placed a hand on his chest and chuckled happily. "Are you joking? If I go into the tower, I will. Let me tell you how a man like my father calls his wife and makes her stay glued to him." Min H's older brother also chuckled. He sarcastically said it was the funniest joke he had ever heard. Duyumumga squinted, and she interrupted. "That's not something to be proud of." "Oh my God." Duyumumga turned to Do-hyu. She wondered, "Why aren't you working today?" "Huh? Oh, I have a day off today. Actually, I've already quit everything," to nudge Du Hyuk lightly on the shoulder. She smiled and said, "Son, your face is showing the word liar right now. So suspicious." Du Hyuk was startled, nervously shouting out. "Lying," he said. "What are you talking about?" "I didn't lie about anything." Jum chuckled softly. She spoke softly. "Anyway, my mother trusts her son." Du Hyuk was a little moved, and Du Hyuk's mother flinched suddenly. He was stunned when he heard Jum Ra's words. "Just don't get involved in usury." "Absolutely not." A memory suddenly flashes in Du Hyuk's mind. You think of a forgotten memory. "I don't know anything." Du Hyuk suddenly remembered and mentioned her mother's work. Then a memory of Jum being angry with CA suddenly appeared. She said it was because of a rude lady customer. Mom came to fix the water purifier, and she asked Mom to clean up all the trash in her house. How could my mother endure all that and still keep going? To hell with the customer's judgment. Mom gave them a real lesson and then got fired. Du Hyuk's mind flashes back. Mom is truly fierce and brave, a personality that cannot tolerate injustice. The image of Suan appears, and he proudly says, "The greatest achievement in my life?" That's an invitation for the mother and child to go on a date. Du Hyuk's thoughts keep running, and the person who's fallen for a mother like that is an image based on Suan's relationship. Min H and Du Hyuk appear, his voice echoing, defining a true, hopeless guy with a tragic family background, but still outstanding. Du Hyuk's father chats warmly with the family, thinking that everyone must be worried, so he decides to wait until things settle down before talking about the awakening. "What is this? What is this money? It's pocket money for Dad and Mom. Give it to them and make sure your parents don't overwork themselves." Du Hyuk turned to leave, but suddenly Min Hawk spoke up. He called out loudly, "Wait, second brother." Min Hawk scratched his head and hesitated. So, Du Hyuk looked back, sure that it was because of the last time he paid its tuition fee. Du Hyuk moved closer to Min Hyok, thinking that this mischievous kid probably wanted to thank him but was too shy. He placed a hand on Min Hyok's shoulder and smiled, saying, "I understand how you feel, kid." "Really?" Min Hyok smiled softly, cheeks blushing, shyly saying, "Then I can speak freely now. Your dad's allowance, your mom's allowance, do you feel like something's missing afterward?" "It seems like you forgot my part." "Big brother." Du Hyuk stood still, his mind filled with disappointment. "You little brat," gently advised Min Hawk not to waste money on useless things. "You little bastard." A notification appears confirming the transfer of 500,000 has been completed. The scene shifts to Du Hyuk standing at the foot of the Fake Awakening Management Bureau building. A message appears, "Seunhan Nam, Fake Awakening Management Department." Du Hyuk looks up to the upper floors. He felt uneasy and planned to go straight home, but in the end he impulsively decided to stop by here. After meeting the family, his desire to do this properly grew even stronger. Wangin's image appears in Du Hyuk's mind. He says, "Please contact us before visiting the store." Du Hyuk closed his eyes and muttered, "I guess it's probably fine. If I meet him again, I'll probably feel guilty." Du Hyuk's mind flashes with images of an item and monsters in the tower. He thinks he already has an energy shield. These monsters get stronger as you go higher up, so Du Hyuk entered the building. He decided that the best choice was to buy a shield. Du Hyuk looked for a large, shiny gold shield. Ha-Run raised her hand. She said the price for that is 100 million. After hearing that, Du Hyuk was stunned, his mind filled with shock. 100 million? Du Hyuk kept scratching his head, hesitating, saying that the item was too heavy for him and the ground was too uneven, so he had no choice but to accept. Du Hyuk's thoughts appear, costing a fortune. Why does it have to be a female staff member? I can't speak fluently, and why is it so crowded today? There wasn't even one last time. Don't look this way. Han then took out a smaller shield and said with a smile, "Ah, this one should fit." This is a small handheld round shield made from adamantium and sectonium alloy. It's lightweight and inexpensive, but has self-repairing functions. "You may try it on, sir." Du Hyuk put the shield on his arm, and his mind exclaimed, "Oh, it fits me so well that I could say it's a perfect match with the hammer. I like it." "So what is the price?" Ha-Run smiled. She replied, "The price is 40 million coins. I'll help you with the payment." Du Hyuk hesitated for a moment, then nervously replied, "Yes, I'll buy it." Du Hyuk placed a hand on the checkout counter as a voice announced, "Payment complete," and in his mind, he finally managed to buy it. Hadu's image appeared in Du Hyuk's mind, and he wondered why talking to staff was even harder than dealing with goblins. He turned his head back, sighed, and thought it was time to go home. Suddenly from afar, Hawk was leaning against the glass door and spoke, "You're only recently awakened, right? I also am a player. Nice to meet you." "I am Choi Hawk." Du Hyuk hesitated and thought to himself, what's going on? I might have been a bit too enthusiastic. Du Hyuk grabs Hook's hand and hesitates before replying. Yes, I am Bong Du Hyuk, so you're Du Hyu. Kosack leaned one hand on his hip and said with a smile, I come to the store every day, so I wanted to get to know you since I haven't seen you before. If that's not rude, may I ask what floor you're on? I am currently climbing to the 30th floor. I am on the 10th floor. Du Hyuk's mind exclaimed, such a high level. Kosack smiled brightly and said, if you have any trouble climbing the tower, just ask me. Right now, nothing is difficult. Hawk nodded with both hands towards Du Hyuk and replied, that's great. If you need help next time, just ask me because I come here often. Kosack turned and walked away, waving goodbye and saying, see you later. Du Hyuk's mind appears, and his bold social skills as a stylish person are truly admirable. With that level, he probably has a girlfriend too, right? I'm so jealous. Scene shifts to nighttime. Du Hyuk's house is still lit up. A status window appears in front of Du Hyuk. He proudly exclaims in his mind, Level 19. Now I can challenge the 19th floor. But earlier, Du Hyuk placed a box on the table and said, I should call Kosack out to settle some matters, right? A notification appeared indicating Zokok had been summoned. Thank you for the compliment. I just bought this shield. Oh my god, look at that. You really know how to enjoy yourself with a shield and all. Do you really have to go that far? I will prioritize safety as much as possible. The previous summoner also said the same thing. Du Hyuk clenched his fists. Don't worry, Kosack, because I'm a coward. If climbing the tower becomes too difficult, I'll give up immediately. Du Hyuk's face brightened, and he smiled upon hearing Kosack's words. Please promise me you won't lead the charge and rush in somewhere on your own. Kosack sat up straight and advised, if anything goes wrong, sacrifice your subordinates and Gobang to escape. Du Hyuk throws the weapon into the storage and replies, I promise. Kosack closes his eyes. He continued, better for you to sacrifice that damn Gobang instead of your subordinates. Du Hyuk smiled and replied simply, I understand. Suddenly, Kosack detected a smell, his voice breaking. So let's start cleaning up. Huh? This smell is from Du Hyuk opening the box on the table. Inside are still hot steamed buns. I bought these buns for him, Kosack suddenly shouted. Loyalty. He scratched his head nervously and said, I didn't expect you to care about me before Go Bang. Kosack brings the bun close to his mouth and continues, I will eat it happily. Then he pauses for a moment before asking, Summoner Bong, are you perhaps causing trouble with someone? Harming others? Of course not. An ominous atmosphere surrounds the room from outside the door, and Kosack's voice echoes, indicating someone is outside. His aura is overflowing everywhere. Du Hyuk was stunned and exclaimed, Aura? Suddenly, a voice called from outside. Hello. Du Hyuk gently sat up and told Kosack, stay hidden, your body is gradually opening up. He responded clearly. A caption appears, displaying an energy shield effect that protects the user by absorbing damage. As soon as it finishes, the door of the room suddenly bursts open. The lock shattered into many pieces. The door handle fell to the ground, rolling over to where Du Hyuk was sitting. Kosack slowly approached, holding a gun tightly in his hand. He spoke. Hello there. Du Hyuk was startled, as if he recognized the person standing in front of him. Are you surprised? You bastard, I went through a lot to track you down. Du Hyuk sat still, his voice trembling. Why me? Is that a gun? Please put away your weapon. Hoexotzi points the gun at Du Hyuk and shouts, Who gave you permission to speak? Do you want to die? Take off your bracelet and open your genitals before I turn your skull into a beehive. No, what do you think you're doing, pointing that at me? Huoc speaks in a deep voice, threatening. Do you think this is a joke? Du Hyuk's thoughts appeared. You're destroying yourself. Hawk squinted, a wicked smile spreading across his face. He thought, so they freeze up when they see me with a gun? I've got a good catch this time. Kojiak slowly approaches from behind. Hawk's mind firmly believes that weaklings like this can be knocked out with a single punch. Hook raises one hand high and shouts, Hurry up and do it before I kill you. As soon as he finished speaking, Kosack forcefully thrust his sword into Hoex's head, catching him off guard. Is there still one more guy? Damn it. Hoex fainted, his body remaining in a kneeling position on the floor for a long time. Du Hyuk opened his eyes wide as if he couldn't grasp the current situation. He exclaimed, Huh. Du Hyuk clenched his fists and exclaimed with joy, You did well. You hesitated, and looked confused. He exclaimed, Yes, I did. Du Hyuk quickly wiped away tears and softly said, You knocked him out, not killed him. I kept worrying that you would kill him without realizing he's just a clueless fool. Sack became awkward and his voice hesitated. How could I do that? Thuong Ngai. Du-hook glanced down at Hawk and thought to himself, so this guy is probably a item broker, right? A mysterious figure appeared in Du-Hook's mind. He thought about killing players, those who are no different from ordinary people outside the tower, and stealing their items. So that's what the item broker I heard about is. A memory of the conversation with Wang In appears. He said that one of the privileges of the elite team is to protect individuals outside the tower. Because players are just vulnerable people outside the tower, a dark scenario appeared in Du-Hook's mind. He was sure that if he didn't awaken his summoning ability even outside, he would be doomed. Du-Hook looked at Kosack, realizing that this was indeed a cheating ability. Kosack turned back and said, I will handle this guy outside. Yes, sir, Du-Hook said in a low voice. Ignore him. Just report to the police. Kogiak hesitated, his voice uncertain. You don't have to do that. I can take him far away. It's okay. Calling the police is the easiest way. Did the player come back to the shop? Wang In replied softly from behind. I didn't even know. Kyungshu looked at Kwang In and asked, what did he buy? Kwang In replied quietly. He said softly that it was a small round shield. I wish he had signed a professional contract. I would have equipped him from head to toe. Have we identified the characteristics of the Bong player yet? The image of Du-Hugh in shiny armor appeared in Kwang In's mind. He analyzed, based on the purchase of a club and a shield, we suspect he is a melee type, but it's still not enough for a full set of armor. Suddenly Wang In's phone rings and his voice is cut off. I will find an excuse to give the Bong player a full set of armor. Wang In's phone screen shows the police officer's name. He wonders, Police, sorry, I need to take this call for a moment. Yes, this is John Wang In from the Fake Awakening Management Bureau. Yes, what did you say? Transitioning scenes. Wang In quickly drives to the residential area where Du-Hugh is. Wang In ran towards Du-Hugh's house, quickly climbing the stairs, his mind shouting, Damn it! Kwang In hurried ahead, his mind racing, realizing he should have signed the elite contract from the start if something happened to Bong. Inside Du-Hugh's room, Dongshu grabs H-Seok's hand and loudly says, You are H6, you are under arrest for illegal entry and armed robbery. Gaou, restrained, cried out in pain. It hurts so much. Wait, you're killing me. He looked back at Du-Hugh and explained, I am innocent, officers. I was kidnapped by that guy. I am the real victim. Du-Hyuk glanced around nervously and said, No, he is the one who broke in. Dongshu looked at Du-Hyuk and said, For now, the host also needs to come with us. A scene of Du-Hyuk being taken to jail appeared, and he nervously thought, Oh my God, please don't tell me I'm about to go to prison. A line of text appears, revealing the villain's strategy to conquer Juventus. Wang In appears, one hand flinging open the front door. He shouted, Wait! Du-Hugh was stunned. I see Wang In, and he happily exclaims, Team leader, it's me, Choi-Hook, you know me, right? Wang In quickly approaches Hawk and asks, Are you from the Bureau? You really saved my life. As he finished speaking, Wang In suddenly slapped Hawk across the face, his voice breaking. That guy kidnapped me and tried to steal my belongings. Huh? Why would I? I am Dongshu and Du-Hyuk, silently observing. Wang In continues to attack Hawk. He shouted, How dare you lie, you little dog, do you really intend to kill your colleague? Trying to stop Wang In. Wait, I'm the victim here. Kwang In becomes even angrier. He interrupts, Your registration is cancelled immediately. My desperate cough echoes out. I'm level 34 already, why should I go to prison? After being beaten repeatedly, Hawk coughs and screams in pain. Stop. Wang In paused for a moment, his eyes glaring angrily at Hawk below, his mind filled with confusion. Doesn't he even bother to listen to what I say? What the hell is going on? Hawk's face gradually turned fearful as he heard Wang In's words. He told them to release him. The National Intelligence Agency will arrive soon. Just hand him over to them. Horrifying images flashed through Hawk's mind. He thought to himself that the intelligence agency wouldn't hesitate to use brutal methods against criminals related to players. Hawk kept bowing his head to the floor, begging, I didn't realize what was happening. Please forgive me. Wang Wai clenched his fist tightly, anger flashing in his eyes as he pushed aside and said, You're kidding. Do you think you're the first scum I've seen do this? You've reoffended multiple times, right? We'll investigate everything you've done. Wang Wai frowned and said, Go find a lawyer, although no lawyer would dare to defend you. Kwang Yi looked towards Dongshu and Dongwan. He spoke up. Do you all know the procedure for arresting a suspect? Hawk turned around and shouted in fear. No! Wang In said quietly. If he escapes into the tower during the transfer and disappears, just wait. He will just appear again right there anyway. Huxka's cry echoes in vain. I won't do that anymore. Wait. Kwang In approached Du-Hyuk and asked, Are you hurt anywhere? Du-Hyuk stepped back a few paces, thinking to himself, his face is so terrifying. Du Hyuk nervously replied, I was just a little surprised, that's all. Suddenly, Kwang In spoke softly, calling out, which surprised Du Hu. The Bong player, Kwang Wai, closed his eyes and bowed his head in apology. I sincerely apologize. To ensure this never happens again, I will make sure to prepare thoroughly. Wang In opened his eyes, his mind full of determination. He could no longer delay the elite contract and had to protect the Bong player. Transition. The next morning, Kosack appeared and asked, Loyalty. Was there any issue yesterday? Du Hyuk looked at Kosack and replied, Remember your older brother? The police took that guy away yesterday. Kosack was a bit surprised. He asked, Is it to be executed? Du Hyuk became confused and hesitated before replying, No, Kosack is hiding a weapon behind his back, and he is starting to probe. So you know where the prison is? Du Hyuk frowned. You give the orders. I don't know and don't bother trying to find out. Kosack replied in a low voice, disappointed, Yes, sir. A notification appeared indicating Bong had been summoned. Bong appears, counting his fingers as he exclaims, Why are there only 57 stars? This is the first time I've seen so many stars like this, Du Hyuk suddenly thought. He knew about it. Du Hyuk looked at Kosack and Bong and said, So Bong, shall we go? A notification appears as we enter the 19th floor of the Black Tower in Korea. Another message appears. Task for the 19th floor. Eliminate 30 goblin mages. A picture of a goblin appears in Du Hyuk's mind. Your voice echoes. On the 19th floor there are goblin mages. Honestly, they're not very dangerous. They can't use any impressive magic attacks. At most, just binding curses or weak missile arrows, although curses can be a bit dangerous. Cut to Bong rushing towards a group of goblins. Du Hyuk's voice echoes, but what's there to worry about? The group of elves raised their staffs and unleashed a stream of black magic towards Bong. Bong remained calm, took a deep breath, and prepared to counterattack. Bong opens his mouth and shouts loudly, a powerful shockwave rushing toward the enemy. Seeing this, Du Hyuk is amazed, and his mind exclaims that he can blow away curses just with a shout. That's just the style of a demon. Kosack appears behind Bong, gripping his weapon tightly. Hey Bong, remember what I told you earlier? Clean this up as quickly as possible. Bong looks at Kosack, who coldly replies, I remember to wipe out everything, and then both rush towards the enemies ahead. Kosack and gang rush forward, defeating countless monsters along the way. Behind them, Du Hyuk grabs his weapon and smiles. I'll do the same. A notification appears in front of Du Hyuk, informing him that he has completed the 19th floor mission. He is stunned and exclaims, Huh? Is it over? Du Hyuk glances ahead. Kosack and Bong are talking from afar as if discussing something. Kosack smiles brightly, then turns back and says, How does it look? Are summoners feeling excited? Du Hyuk's mind wondered if they deliberately ended it early so I wouldn't be able to fight. I've been pranked. A notification appeared. Notification. You have obtained S plus C plus seeds upon completing level 19 of the Korean Black Tower. Another message appears, indicating an S plus C plus plus reward and a white sword badge. The scene shifts to the next day. A caption appears. The next day, the system voice announces that you are entering the 20th floor of the Black Tower in Korea. The scene shifts, and a memory flashes through Du Hyuk's mind. His voice echoes. I've been introverted since I was a kid. As Du-man approached, he grabbed Du Hyuk's toy car and shouted, I took this! Du-man took the toy car and walked away, leaving Du Hyuk confused and sitting behind. The scene shifts to Du Hyuk entering first grade, and his voice echoes, First grade, things are even worse. Poverty is a crime. As time passed, Du Hyuk entered second grade and said, I am also a lonely person now. Behind him, Hanu patted Han Deok on the shoulder. He's mocking you. That's why you failed your rank. Handiok ran ahead and called back, Ion is a meta, then the scene changed. Du Hyuk is in third grade, sitting alone while eating. His voice echoes, even in third grade, I still haven't eaten alone. The life of someone completely isolated from society. I used to be afraid of even trying to change anything, and then the scene shifts back to reality. Du Hyuk looked up at the sky, his mind flashing with thoughts of himself. Someone like me fighting monsters in the tower. I even dare not look into the eyes of those arrogant girls. That's something I never even dared to imagine. Du Hyuk hovers in the air below countless monsters, but he thinks that monsters are not humans, and fear doesn't stem from relationships. They're no different from the monsters in the game. Du Hyuk glanced down, his mind full of determination. I just need to crush them and get the reward. Kosack clearly shows fear, shouting in panic, Summoner Bong! No, the goblins below grip their weapons tightly and charge at Du Hyuk all at once. Du Hyuk instantly reacted like a gust of wind, slipping past and stopping behind a monster attacking him. Du Hyuk swung his staff forward, smashing the head of the monster and dealing significant damage. Du Haiyusi continues to swiftly glide through the battlefield, defeating countless enemies along the way. Shock is clearly visible on Kosack's face. He wondered, in that brief moment, could he have used his inner strength at this level? Dozens of arrows suddenly flew toward Du Hook. A sharp warning voice of the summoner Bong rang out. "Be careful." Du Hyux quickly raises his shield as the blazing arrows pierce into it, then turns his gaze toward the blue smoke enveloping himself. "If I didn't have this shield, I would have become a pincushion." Du Hyuk immediately became frightened, sweat pouring down his face, his mind trembling. "That was really scary. Did I go a bit too far?" Over there, Kosack is also fighting the enemy. He turned his head back at the sound of Du Hu's cry for help. "Save me." Kosack looked towards Du Hyuk and shouted a command. "Yes, summoner. Run towards the cliff first." Du Hyux, with a frightened look, he responds clearly. Gobang nearby keeps pounding his chest with both hands, muttering, "I must protect the summoner." Du Hyusi's body seems to lose strength, with many enemies chasing from behind, his voice weak. "I'm running out of energy." Suddenly, Du Hyuk lifts his face, stops in front of a cliff, and whispers, "Is it here yet, God?" Du Hyuk's mind is full of fear, but there's nothing here. Du Hu turned around, facing countless enemies ahead, trying to think, "What should I do now? What can I do?" No. Suddenly a giant hand appeared, ending the attack of the goblins. Du Hyuk's thoughts were full of despair. "I'm going to die." Gobang appears, standing tall before the monsters, making them tremble with fear. Gobang claps his hands together, unleashing a powerful shockwave that blows away all the enemies. From the top of the cliff, Kosack just defeated 2 enemies and shouted praise to Gobang. "Well done, you pig-headed fool." A nearby cliff, 2 goblins wielding staffs attack Kosack. In an instant, Kosack leaps at the monsters, his mind flashing. Then he swings his sword powerfully forward, directly killing both enemies. He thought that once he dealt with the mages on the cliff, the scene would change. After a moment of fighting, Kojiak looked around, noticing countless monsters lying motionless around him. He muttered, "Are we almost done?" Kosack stood still for a moment, then whispered, "It seems we've already taken out all 100 of them. It will appear soon." Du Hyusi looked genuinely surprised, thinking they could finish them off in an instant. He stepped back a few paces, trying not to touch Gobang's body. He whispered, "Move forward a bit." "Gobang, I really appreciate it." But suddenly a loud sound rang out, and Du Hyuk quickly looked toward the source of the noise. Did this sound come from afar, as a huge goblin creature approaching from somewhere? Du Hyuk's mind flashes to the tall-legged idol of the goblin race, those always troubled by their short legs. The final stage of goblin evolution, the hop goblin on the cliff, quickly runs forward. The hop jumps into the air, shattering the wet ground into pieces. He shouted, "Gobang!" Like lightning, Gobang charged straight at the goblin. He shouted, a line of text appeared, "Leave it to me." Gobang collided with the monster. He tries to push it back. Gobang reaches out, grabbing the creature by the neck. Kogiak quickly rushes down below and says with a smile, "You did well today. Hold on tight to it." Kogiak clenched his weapon and attacked the fairy being controlled by Gobang. He delivered 2 more strikes, completely defeating the final monster. The notifications sound one after another. All goblins are at 100 over 100. The hop goblin at 1 over 1. You have completed the 20th floor quest. Your level has increased. Rewards include 2 kilograms of magic stones and an exclusive poison recovery potion from the 5th tower. Kojiak reached up and scratched his head, then smiled softly and said to Du Hu, "We did it." Du Hu looked at Kojiak and thought to himself, defeating the boss in an instant might actually be better left to them. Anyway, Du Hu bowed respectfully and said, "Thank you for your hard work and for protecting me." Kojiak bowed deeply. He responds loyally. Gobang lies down on the grass. He then told the summoner protector, and a badge appeared. The notifications appear one after another. You have reached S+C+ rank on the 20th floor of the Black Tower in Korea. S+C+ platinum badge reward. You can attempt the 21st floor and leave the Black Tower. The scene shifts. A news story appears on the phone screen. There are many people below discussing how Du Hyu Kyungshu conquered the 20th floor of the tower as he puts his phone down on the table. He sighs and says, "Holding the record for 20 consecutive floors is impressive, but if people pay too much attention to him, it could cause trouble. Should we try to control the media, boss?" "No, the fact that we know the identity of the record holder S+C+ could be exposed." Kyungshu turns to Kwangin and asks, "Have you investigated the player's family background yet?" "I have already conducted a secret investigation." The image of Su Cheon lying in bed appears, with Wang Yin's voice rising. His father, Bong Swan, underwent surgery months ago after a slip-and-fall accident and is now undergoing physical therapy. "Oh my God, he's old and his bones will heal slowly. Is there any way to help him?" Wang Yin replied, "I plan to refer him to the best rehabilitation center in the country." "Of course, it's all free," Kyungshu replied with a somewhat satisfied tone. "All right, let's proceed. Min-hyuk is diligently studying." Wang Yin's voice rises. "Next is Bong Min-hop's younger brother. He is a first-year student about to enlist and has a scholarship. That is a perfect benefit. Several photos of Jumja appear." Wang Wai continued, "What does Hong Jumja's mother do for a living? She used to work for a water purifier company but is currently unemployed. It seems she is about to be fired after a fight with a rude customer." Kyungshu was a bit surprised. He exclaimed, "Oh my God." Wang Yin covers his mouth and whispers, "According to the records, the person we should pay the most attention to is Mrs. Hong Jumja. She is the most influential in the family, and her strong personality means even her husband and son don't dare to oppose her." Kyungshu raised his voice. "If he orders it, then so be it. This plan is good. Go ahead. Even if it means using all the authority of the Fake Awakening Bureau, we must succeed." Wang Yin smiled and said, "We will start supporting Bong's family immediately. The delivery has arrived and it smells wonderful." Go Bang nearby keeps turning over, repeatedly saying, "Food delivery, delicious food." Do-hyuk holds his head with both hands, tears streaming down. "Please stay still. You tell Kosack, both of you hide for a while so you're not seen." Donggu steps in, placing the bowls of noodles on the floor. He said, "1 sweet and sour pork, 12 bowls of black bean noodles. You ordered a lot." "Is there a party today?" Do-hyu hurriedly replied. "Oh yes." Donggu chuckled happily. He continued, "I guess so, so I added a baozi on top." Donggu turned and walked away, calling back, "Well, enjoy your meal and please support us again next time." Do-hyuk stood silently behind, thinking that including a bun as a gift was a bit too much. "Huh? There isn't a single discount coupon anywhere. Is this too much to ask for?" Do-hyuk's mind flashes with a pile of discount coupons and he mumbles, "But really, even if there were coupons, how could one person use them to order food?" Do-hyuk set the bowls of noodles down on the floor and shouted loudly, "Where did Kosack come from to step out?" He enthusiastically yelled, the smell of delicious black soy sauce filling the air. Gobang stared intently at the bowls of noodles as Duke's voice echoed, "Huh, you've never eaten this dish before, right?" Gobang picked up a bowl and ate voraciously. He muttered, "Crunchy black soy sauce noodles." Korax clearly saw the scene. He shouted angrily, "If you eat the whole plate, what am I supposed to do, you idiot?" "Eat first, I have something to check," Do-hyuk said as he stepped back. Do-hyuk raised his hand forward. A screen appeared before his eyes, and he shouted. The Duong Guild's platinum badges appeared one after another, and a voice announced that privileges would be granted once 20 platinum badges are collected. "Is that the 20th platinum badge? I wonder what the privilege is this time." A mysterious box appears, and a notification shows up, granting a random box as the privilege. Do-hyuk stares intently at the box, confusion written all over his face. What is this? Random box. A status window appears, displaying the details of the mysterious box one by one. Do-hyuk kept thinking to himself, confused, and exclaimed, "What are all these different types? I don't even know which is which anymore. Maybe I should just skim through them. Anyway, it's all random." Do-hyuk placed a hand on his chin and muttered, "Ma stones, herbs and metals are too common. Weapons and armor aren't that great either." The items inside the box appear one after another. Do-hyuk looks at the information panel, analyzing that leveling up means the tower remains the same, but only your level increases. Oh, so the tier-jumping ticket means skipping a level and leveling up at the same time. Wait, does that mean I didn't get the completion reward? Who would want that? The upgrade worm is way better. A silver ticket appears, and Do-hyuk's thoughts come to mind. The multilateral tower access ticket seems to allow conquering towers in other countries. The best thing among all this is probably the summon ticket that appears. Do-hyuk's thoughts continue to run. The summon ticket confirms the level, one of SR, SSR, LSSR, or LSSR. What if I am sure to get an LSSR from that? An image appears in Do-hyuk's mind. He thought to himself that he could assign monster cleaning tasks to the LSSR summon and just sit back and enjoy the rewards. In Do-hyuk's imagination, he was lying on a carriage, talking, and enjoying the view from the tower. A line of text appears. The camera zooms through the black tower. Do-hyuk smiles with a sinister grin. You think that the 3 items will appear randomly, right? Maybe there will be a chance. Do-hyuk raises his hand forward and shouts open, his mind begging please if something good comes out, he promises to live a virtuous life. The box in front of Do-hyuk suddenly lit up and began to shake violently. Do-hyuk smiled, his mind full of anticipation. It turned out to be an image of a demon stone, with a message saying 10 kilograms of demon stone received. Do-hyuk knelt on the floor, disappointed and shouting, It's useless. Demon stones can be found any time. Du-Hyuk wiped away his tears and comforted himself, thinking that if he sold it, he could get 5 million. The second one, Du-Hyuk continued shouting and opened it. A notification appears. The skill Taiko Loi Khan has been acquired. Taiko Loi Khan has been registered in the status window. Du-Hyuk read the newly appeared status, thinking to himself that this skill sounds quite like a martial arts technique. Is it an attack? Should I check later? Du-Hyuk reached out to the last box, his mind filled with anticipation. Finally, he shouted for it to open. A gemstone appears in midair with a carved mark in the center, emitting a mysterious glow. Seeing the item, Du-Hu smiled brightly, his mind cheering. This is a jackpot. The upgrade states of the stone appear. Du-Hyuk looks around. He thought this was one of the things he wanted most. Du-Hyuk looked towards Kosack and Bong. He wondered who he should give it to. One of the two of them. Kosack grew angry from afar. He shouted at Bong, "Calm down! You pig." Bong keeps bringing another bowl of noodles to his mouth. He said thank you for the meal. Du-Hyuk's thoughts continued to run. They're both fools. No, they're equally trustworthy, so it's hard to think too much about it. Du-Hyuk looked towards Kosack. He hesitated, but he thought he should probably give it to Kosack. Thinking about all the bowls of rice we've shared, Du-Hyuk scratched his cheek and muttered, "But Bong probably eats more rice than me, right?" Du-Hyuk looks at the stone in his hand and decides that later he will call Kosack out and give it to him. After all, there's no shortage of firepower right now. Du-Hyuk put the stone into the storage, thinking it's better to test the skill first. Du-Hyuk looked at the skill display, and his mind suddenly realized that he happened to need an attack skill. Great, let's learn. Suddenly, a wave of knowledge flooded directly into Du-Hyuk's mind, leaving him in shock as if the technique's usage was being transmitted straight into his brain. Du-Hyuk summoned his hammer and thought to himself, should I try a little? He swung the hammer forward and shouted, "Soul Thunder." Nothing happened. Du-Hyuk stood still for a moment, the surrounding space still as quiet as usual. He raised a hand to scratch his cheek and thought to himself, of course it doesn't work. If I could use this power in real life, society would have been chaos a long time ago. I'll test it later inside the tower with guys like Choi Hook. The beast saw the scene and spoke, "Summoner Bong, why are you suddenly wielding a trident?" Du-Hyuk smiled. "You said, I received a skill from the cock reward. Could it be an attack skill?" Du-Hyuk raised his hand forward and proudly replied, "Yes, it is, and it's also a growth-type skill." Kosack was so shocked that he dropped his bowl of noodles on the floor. He cried out, "No!" As soon as he finished speaking, Gaou grabbed the bowl of noodles from Kosack's hand and quickly shoved it into his mouth. Immediately, Kosack lunged at Bong, shouting, "You bastard, that's the last bowl. Spit it out for me, you bastard." On the contrary, Bong remained calm and replied coldly, "A warrior never gives up their food." Du-Hyuk raises his hand forward, softly chanting to cancel the teleportation. The next morning, a line of text appears. The next day, Du-Hyuk sat still in one place, sighed softly, and thought that it wasn't that he didn't understand what Kosack was worried about. An illustration of Du-Hyuk's power appears, reflecting the summoning ability he has awakened. With this ability, the summoned entities will handle most of the player's combat power. A line of text appears. Total combat strength, 110. The images of Cock and Bong appear simultaneously, and Du-Hyuk's thoughts continue to race. In other words, this means that the summoner doesn't necessarily have to fight personally, especially with a freak who can summon entities into the real world, like myself. An image of a mysterious person appears in Du-Hyuk's mind. You analyze where the person with similar traits to you might be in a parallel universe. The summoner must have called out Kosack before I did. At the very least, he must be much stronger than me. The image of the previous summoner falling into a pool of blood appears. Du-Hyuk's voice echoes, yet he was dead, and the world he lived in had been destroyed. Du-Hyuk pursed his lips tightly, contemplating from a certain perspective. Worrying too much is only natural, but Du-Hyuk takes a deep breath, pushing aside negative thoughts. I'm also human. I just awakened and started to experience what it's like to be a true Alpha Mio. I have to use the attack skill I learned. Du-Hyuk raises his hand forward, his thoughts appearing. Both of them absolutely obey my orders. I shout loudly, summoning Du-Hyuk's mind, confident that convincing them will be fine. Kosack appeared listless, trembling as he called out, "It's too cold, loyal." Du-Hyuk looked at Kosack, worried, thinking about how much he must have been anxious for his face to look like that after just one day. Kosack lowered his head, his voice slow and deep, saying that attack skills could become poison. Honestly, I was already uneasy even on the 20th floor. Luckily, they are only goblins. Du chuckled softly, thinking it was indeed because of his attack skills. He looked up and whispered, I don't know about goblins, but their brains are definitely not good. Kosack spoke in a low voice, saying, I apologize in advance. I'm about to commit a serious crime. Gang begins to move forward. Are you planning to tie me up or something? Like that ribbon you're holding? One of his sharp eyes flickered, and he softly replied, No. But suddenly Kosack looked up and shouted loudly, Third rule activate. Suddenly Gang appeared from behind Du, grabbing him tightly. Du was startled, thinking to himself, These guys. Kojiak approached and then struck Go Bang on the head. He shouted in anger, holding him tightly after we entered the tower. You idiot, how many times do I have to tell you? Kosack looked at Du and explained that once inside the tower, Go Bang would hold the summoner tightly to keep them safe. I'll handle the monsters myself. Du chuckled softly, his mind filled with helplessness. These guys have conspired together. Du gently bows his head, thinking he really didn't want to have to go this far. Du suddenly clasped his hands together, eyes shimmering as if about to cry. He begged Kosack with his final move, Please don't do this. Spare me this time. I promise I'll be good from now on. Kosack looked at Du and said, I don't believe you. Du raised a finger and said urgently, I keep begging you, really, I will do everything I can. I will never go outside alone again. Kosack heard that and asked once more, Is that really true? But playing around forever gets boring. Let me catch just one, carefully and slowly. So that should be okay, right? Kosack crossed his arms and hesitated for a long time. Then Du voice rang out, Trust me, just this once. Safety comes first, preserving life. Du face suddenly turned serious, his eyes brightening at Kosack's words. If you are so determined, then fine. But if a dangerous situation occurs, I will intervene immediately. Du raised his hand in a gesture of agreement and confidently sealed the deal. Kosack immediately responded. Deal. The group of Du team teleports to a forest inside the tower, with Kosack leading the way. He walks and says, Brains have power, but are stupid. Of course they are still smarter than Go Bang. Go Bang walks behind and interrupts, I am smarter than that. All right, you're clever. Du raised his weapon, smiled, and shouted, Let's practice 10 times before we go. Kosack turned his head back and replied, You can practice 100 times if you want. Kosack gestures towards Goang, smiling as he says, We have a training dummy named Go Bang, so just go ahead and hit him. Du points at himself confused and asks, Are you telling me to fight Goang now? Kosack raised both hands in front of him, encouraging, Just hit him. Even if you strike with all your might, there won't be a scratch. He's the best for training. Goang looked down at Du and coldly said, Summoner, fight me, I'm fine. Du stepped back a few paces and shouted, Enough! Du mind appeared, thinking I am standing between Kosack demanding a fight and Go Bang saying he will take the hits. He became angry and shouted, If you keep this up, I will charge in alone. Kosack hurriedly intervened, anything but that. Du looked at the spear in his hand, and since he already knew how to use it, it would be easier than fighting Go Bang directly against a single opponent. Let's go. Kosack bowed his head, helplessly obeying the order. Yes. Suddenly many monsters appeared in front of us, armed and advancing toward Du. Kosack rushes toward the enemy and announces I'll go ahead. Go Bang also charged from behind and said, I'm coming too. Both Go Bang and Kosack run quickly forward, heading straight towards the enemy. Go Bang swung his arm down forcefully, defeating countless monsters in front of him, as Kosack charged forward like a gust of wind. A series of enemies fall before his sword. Du watches silently, thinking to himself, Too fast. Kosack spins in the air, landing right in front of the enemy. Du with both hands on his head, hopelessly thought that at this rate he would finish before catching even one. Suddenly, a Kosack monster appeared behind him, clutching a weapon and about to attack. Seeing the enemy, Du smiled. Do you think you can leave one for me? Du shows a clear expression of joy. He exclaims, All right then. Du slightly bent his legs and jumped straight toward the waiting enemy. Kosack suddenly disappeared, his voice echoing, I will observe from behind. Du rushes toward the monster, raising his flail to prepare for battle. The monster swung the axe forward. Du quickly dodged, avoiding the attack. Du jumps high into the air, his mind analyzing that the first soul-seeking lightning strike is just a simple vertical slash. Du raises his club, a terrifying wave of power emanates. He thought, but its power was overwhelming, and Du charged down, a brilliant light shining out. He swung his hammer forcefully at the enemy's head. His voice rang out. First, the Soul Pursuit Lance. The attack caused massive damage to the monster, which could only stand still and endure. Du Hyuk smiled, feeling proud and confident, absolutely not weak. He clenched his fist tightly, gathering all his strength, then struck the eagle's head with a powerful blow. It was hit by a powerful blow from Yu, staggering for a few seconds before collapsing. Du Hyuk stood confidently in front of the giant monster he had just defeated, a sense of pride and confidence filling his mind. Too easy, super easy. Without stopping, Du Hyuk quickly sneaks around to behind the next eagle. He squints at the new target, excitement filling his mind as he prepares to strike. Add one more. But before Du Hyuk could act, Gang's massive foot stomped down. He froze, realizing the warning gaze from the two people watching him. It seems we agreed to catch only one, right? Immediately after, a series of system reward notifications appeared before Du Hyuk. The next day, he continued fighting, this time against a desert monster. The familiar transparent screen reappeared, displaying the post-battle reward. The next day was the same, passing by in a similar way. This time, Du Hyuk faced a cave brain. After the battle, the familiar reward messages appeared again. He recalled the days of fighting through many levels and thought to himself that the volcano head was a bit tougher, but he managed to defeat one. One level per day, with Kosack and Bong helping, nothing could stop him. After that battle, the reward notification from the system kept appearing. Another day passes and Du Hyuk's face looks a bit vacant. He thinks this is the hopeful level 25. He scratches his back and thinks, but somehow it feels like something's missing when each time a creature like this appears. Anyway, I need to build trust during this time. Then Du Hyuk stood up to change clothes and muttered to himself, all this time Bong and Kosack have been by his side, but he hasn't given them anything, so he decided to give them this time. Kosack appears on command, speaking clearly. Master Trungthon, didn't you say you were taking a rest today? I just happened to have this item. He asked nervously, is it edible? Du Hyuk shrugged and calmly replied, check for yourself. Kosenses trembled as he raised the sparkling stone high, both curious and frightened, and immediately the system panel appeared with detailed explanations about the item. He widened his eyes. What is this? Leveling up, you happy with it? Are you really going to give it to me? That's amazing. Leveling up will make it SSR. I really appreciate it. He clenched his chest tightly, his voice full of determination. I can protect the summoner Bong better from now on. I'm so happy. The boy looked at that sincere reaction, secretly feeling happy that he saw him so joyful. Du Hyuk casually suggested, should we level up right away? Kosack quickly shook his head and carefully explained, I want to, but rushing it is dangerous. He shyly thought, isn't it just doing whatever you want? He straightened up and spoke with excitement. Tonight, I will do it, and I will meet you again, looking super cool. Du Hyuk saw that Shek was about to leave and called out, stay longer since you went through the trouble to come here. He immediately changed his mind and looked at the TV in the room. So I'll watch TV. I wonder what channel it's on again, then just rewind using the feature. He hesitated. Isn't that going to cost money? Du Hyuk waved his hand. What's the point of saving that money? Turn it back on now. Suddenly, Kosack paused. Wait a minute, then turned around with a puzzled expression. What's wrong? Du Hyuk's voice was urgent. Switch back to the previous channel now. He immediately obeyed. Yes, he kept staring at the screen and kept adjusting. Come closer, keep going, stop. Mom. You stare fixedly at the screen, unable to keep up with what's happening. Why is my mother on the news? At the company gate, Doom raised a protest sign high, opposing the unfair contract termination, demanding better treatment for water filter staff, and ending the company's abuse of power. She clenched her hand around the sign, a surge of anger rising in her heart, unable to bear it anymore. Such an unjust contract termination. Then Jum remembered telling the staff to sort the trash and throw it away when they left. Isn't that unreasonable? What makes me angrier is that the memories flood back, making her more and more furious. The company makes me apologize to the customers again. If I haven't done anything wrong, why should I apologize? Because I refused to submit. The result was termination of the contract. Jum thought that after more than 10 days of protesting alone, all she got was mockery from the company leaders, and the outsiders also ridiculed her. What a useless stunt, probably copying someone somewhere. She gritted her teeth, her eyes burning with anger, and if they dared to mock her again, she would crush them to death. At that moment, a well-dressed man in a suit approached. Are you Mrs. Hong Dui-hung? She glanced at the stranger, immediately on alert in her mind. Just in time, she thought. What nonsense are you about to spout? Trang X bowed politely, speaking calmly. You've worked hard. I am from Park and Kim Law Firm. My name is lawyer Lai Trang So. Hearing the words law firm, Duyamjia unconsciously repeated in surprise. Law firm. As soon as she heard those two words, her face immediately changed noticeably. Duyamjia quickly raised a sign, his voice becoming defensive. Are they planning to sue me? Just tell them to go ahead. I'm not afraid of that. He quickly waved his hand. Calm down, please. Trang-sok calmly explains the true purpose. Actually, I came for the opposite reason. Please proceed with officially suing Jim Zamoon Joint Stock Company. He continued confidently, we are North Encom, the leading law firm in Korea, and we will represent Ms. Hong Jum for free. Trang-kok then explained, you have already submitted a petition to the Ministry of Labor, right? I heard the story from an acquaintance who works there, so I came here. You must be very surprised. But this is our law firm's annual project to support vulnerable people in society. She looked at the man in front of her, feeling both suspicious and conflicted. Even though it seems a bit suspicious, it doesn't look like he's lying. What should we do now? Should I agree? He looked at Dewey with a sincere expression, his voice full of confidence and determination. She has worked very hard, so consider this a small reward for herself. We will prioritize our honor to ensure we win the case. She clenched her fists tightly, thinking quickly. At this point, I have to see it through to the end. Jumra raised his head, his gaze becoming more determined. All right, I'm entrusting this task to you. Trang-sok nodded slightly, looking satisfied. She was very decisive. Then his gaze turned serious. Let's start by influencing the media. As soon as Trang-sok snapped her fingers, the nearby reporters immediately rushed over to film and take pictures. He continued, say it in detail when answering the reporters. It's okay if it's a bit long. Just edit it so that no unjust treatment she endured is left out. Expose all their true faces. She was a bit confused by the unexpected situation, but still nodded in agreement. At home, Do Hyuk sat with her head in her hands in front of the TV. Did you have to go protest alone like that, Mom? I clenched my teeth, feeling a surge of guilt. What are two boys supposed to do? Truly unfilial children can't be relied on in times of crisis. Do Hyuk froze suddenly when noticing something unusual. Wait a minute, how did Mom manage to hire a lawyer? If it's Park Ankin Kim law firm, a few coins wouldn't be enough to hire them. Kojiak immediately said, Summoner Bong, do you need me to go to Jim Moon Company? He was both surprised and a little touched inside. It seems he has a rough idea of the situation, right? That's very commendable. But I truly admire it. Do Hyuk shook his head and said, don't do that. Just looking at my mother's interview shows we've already hired a good lawyer. A different idea flashed through his mind, thinking he might have to use that after all. Do Hyuk started calculating, realizing he would need to send money for the lawyer's fee later. The total accumulated score is 21 kilograms, roughly equivalent to 10 million watts. If it's not enough, you can sell the energy shield set as well. Just then, your phone vibrated, showing a familiar caller's name. Hello, Dad, what's the matter? Hello, Do-Hi, have you seen the news yet? He responded quickly. Yes, I just watched it. He sighed softly, trying to reassure his son. Don't worry. I heard that the lawyer for Mom is free. Free? Do-Hyuk was a bit surprised. It's free. I was planning to send money to the lawyer if needed. Suan chuckled softly. Where would I even get the money from? Anyway, you don't need to worry about your mother. Just focus on your work. He suddenly remembered something else and continued speaking. Also, today, Dad received a call from Uong Hospital. Hearing that familiar name, you furrowed your brow in confusion. Why there exactly? He continued on the phone, saying that Uong Hospital's radiology department has a project for hip joint surgery and rehabilitation. Dad was chosen as the subject of that project, so in a few days he will be hospitalized there too. Lucky indeed, both the hospital stay and rehabilitation are free of charge. Do-Hyuk was silent for a moment. So is that true for his father as well? He quickly reassured him. So there's no need to worry about your parents, got it? He nodded softly, even while talking on the phone. Yes, I will try to visit home soon. Good news is good news, but why does it feel so strange? Then you were startled again when you received the next call. What is today for Minhwa and his family? His voice on the other end sounds full of anger. Hey, did you see the interview with Mom? Do-Hyuk replied. I've seen it. Minhwa keeps getting more and more frustrated as he talks. Those bastards make me so angry I could explode. You also know how hard my mom has been working to get everything done. You agree too, that's right. He continued speaking, his tone becoming more serious. So it should be the allowance you gave me last time. I plan to send it to my mom. Legal battles are expensive. You immediately remembered and said, aren't you the one who said you needed to buy a laptop? Minhwa chuckled softly. It's okay. After paying the tuition, there's still money left to buy a laptop. He continued speaking with a slightly proud tone. This time I got a scholarship. Maybe I'll have a good life and heaven will favor me. He immediately asked to confirm which scholarship it was, and Minhwa replied casually, it's a national scholarship granted by the Awakening Authority. They also often give out many scholarships there. He gently closed his eyes and all the pieces gradually fit together in his mind. As expected, Do-Hu tried to keep his tone normal. All right, you look diligent in your studies. After hanging up, Do Hyuk sat silently thinking for a long time, not because of divine help, but because of his mother's lawyer, his father's hospital, and Minhook's scholarship. You finally reached a clear conclusion that everything was caused by the fake awakening bureau. Do Hyuk picked up the phone and called, "Hello, Team Leader Lai, this is Bong Do Hyuk. If you have time, can we meet somewhere quiet, on the other end of the line?" "Yes, I will pick you up. Let's go have a meal together." "Why did you do that?" Do Hyuk calmly listed each incident: my mother's lawsuit, my father's hospital, and my younger brother's scholarship. Kwang Wai shrugged lightly, replying as if it were obvious because it was necessary. He couldn't help but be surprised inside. He didn't even bother to hide it, did he? He calmly explained the reasons behind those actions. If something bad happens in the family, you can't help but worry, and that worry will affect your quest to conquer the tower. Besides, isn't that the care policy for the elite team? I only agree to sign the regular contract. Suddenly, Wang In stood up and slammed the table, startling Do Hyuk. He took out a contract from his bag and pushed it directly in front of you. The Yai Father contract, a special management target. Wang In smiled warmly, but his eyes were serious, as if he wouldn't accept a refusal. "Just sign it then. The elite team contract." Do Hyuk froze in place, his hands trembling slightly from the unexpected pressure. He silently looked at the contract in front of him, a tangle of complicated thoughts crossing his mind. He truly prepared very thoroughly. Do sighed softly, his voice still hesitant, "But I still don't feel very confident. I don't think I'm that talented." Hearing that response, he suddenly stood up, making the atmosphere tense. Kwang In asked quietly, "Do you really think that? Even when setting a record that no one has ever achieved before?" Hearing about the record, he paused, his eyes flickering with hesitation. Do Hyuk looked a bit sad and didn't know how to respond anymore. Anyone who can climb 24 floors straight with an S+C++ rank sounds like they're bragging in disguise. He took a deep breath and bowed his head. "I sincerely suggest this to you, and you look a bit embarrassed. You don't have to go that far." Wang In's voice grew deeper. "Wasn't it you who recently went through the incident with Choi Ho's?" He looked directly at you, his words becoming sincere and heartfelt. "Please join the Tin Hue team and receive the treatment you deserve. You are more than qualified for it. The player is in the ball game." Du Hue quickly waved his hand. "Please have a seat. You're making me feel embarrassed." Wang In slowly sat down but continued to persuade him. "If you sign a top-tier contract, at least things like this won't happen again, because you will be closely protected at a VIP level." After thinking for a moment, you reveal what makes you most uneasy. "But if someone keeps following me all the time, it would be really uncomfortable, and I also can't film the scenes where I clear the levels." Do Hyuk remembered the real reason why he always refused contracts. "This is one of the main reasons I haven't signed a high-level contract yet. Requesting to record that video is the player's obligation. I don't want Sack and Go Bang to be exposed and then get caught up in unnecessary trouble." He immediately responded as if he had a prepared answer. "You can record the video in any way you want, and the security level can also be adjusted to your preference." Do Hyuk looked a bit surprised, a hint of doubt in his eyes. "How should I adjust it?" Wang In explains in detail, his voice calm and clear. "Usually, he would live alone in a highly secure residence. You will only be protected when you go outside. If you want, we can also assign security personnel to guard your family." He calmly added, as if making a final offer to make everything easier. "We will provide 2 houses immediately after you sign, one for your family and one for you." Hearing that condition, Do Hyuk involuntarily swallowed hard. How could he refuse? After a few seconds of silence, he smiled softly and said, "I appreciate your honesty. But is it okay to decide so quickly? What if the terms change later on?" Seeing Do Hyuk's hesitant yet softened expression, Wang secretly smiled to himself. She already accepted. He pushed the contract closer and said, "Sign here." Do Hyuk happily took the pen and muttered, "2 houses." "Wait a moment." Wang In asked, "What's wrong?" Inside, he felt a flicker of worry. Almost there. Do Hyuk takes a deep breath and states his request. "Please give me a little more time." Wang In asked, "May I ask the reason?" He scratched his head and explained briefly, "I would like to discuss it a bit before making a decision." He smiled politely and nodded in agreement. "Of course, I will wait." The next day, Do Hyuk begins the summoning. A deep voice resonated. A majestic figure appeared before him. A super rare level assassin has arrived. The brightness was blinding, making Do Hyuk exclaim, "My eyes." The system announces that the upgrade is complete. Shimmy, and you quickly cover your eyes, looking annoyed. "It's too bright. Return to normal right now." Kosack immediately responded, "Yes, sir." After returning to normal, he asked, "Should I invite that Goang guy now too?" Du Hu watched Kosack for a moment before softly laughing. Looking back, you actually look pretty cool. Before we handled floor 25, I asked you to go alone because I had something to discuss. You look sharp, huh? He chuckled and said, Of course. How could I have a serious conversation with that clueless Bang? I nodded and started to recount. Yesterday, I met a manager from the Fake Awakening Authority. Even though Hai Yuok recounted the events and I received this offer, I am still unsure whether to stay with the regular team or join the elite team. What do you think? After hearing that, Kock immediately responded without hesitation, I fully support this. You are a national-level player. The summoner Bong, you deserve to be treated accordingly. He pondered for a moment before speaking. But is it really safe? If I join the elite team, I don't know if I'll be forced to climb to level 60 or even higher. He immediately raised his hand in agreement. That's definitely possible, right? Then I will also train hard to help as much as I can. Sack immediately shook his head firmly, speaking decisively. No way. He looked straight at you and said with full confidence that just surviving as long as possible would be enough. Summoner Bong, your safety is your greatest asset. Duhaiwok hesitated slightly, as if still having something to say, but Kosack continued to explain that in the place I used to be before being summoned, there are many legendary and SSR-level summons. As long as you stay safe, you'll eventually be able to summon all of them. He spoke slowly, full of confidence. Each of them will obey your orders without question. They will do exactly as you command, as long as it does not violate rule number 3. Kosack slightly smirked, as if revealing a big secret, and added that there are even half-god-level monsters beyond human limits. Hearing this, you can't help but be stunned. Summoning semi-divine level beings beyond human limits? I can't even imagine it myself. Duhaiwok thought for a moment before asking, so I probably still can't summon those unranked entities yet, right? He nodded slightly in confirmation. For now, that's true, but you'll be able to do it when your summoning proficiency improves. Kosack looked at you seriously as if giving an important piece of advice. So please live long and continue with random summoning. That is your ultimate move, the true finishing blow. Duhaiwok began calculating his chances in his mind. The cooldown for random summons is about a month, so 13 times a year. If I get a good item, I might be able to do more. Of course, everything would be for nothing if my gacha luck is too bad. A number clearly appeared in my mind, 19 days from now. He suddenly became serious, as if about to say something very important. But there is one condition that he must absolutely demand. Jiak sternly states the important condition. The decision to climb higher floors is entirely up to the summoner Bong. Without external interference, he must include that condition. Are you saying I get to decide when to conquer the higher floors? He nodded, his eyes turning cold. This is very important. Otherwise, those scum will go crazy and demand to know why you haven't climbed higher yet. She clenched her fists slightly, as if recalling something. And then, before I could get ready, I suddenly felt that something was wrong. It seemed like he was recalling something very painful. He quickly regained his composure and continued, You must never let yourself be forced to do that. Anyway, as long as the conditions are met, accepting the country's support is a good move. Duhaiwok thought to himself, it's surprising that he supports this. He nodded in thanks, appreciating the advice. At that moment, a system summon screen suddenly appeared in front of him, and a familiar voice rang out. Welcome back, Bang. The sharp voice echoes. Hey, Bang, aren't you going to say hello to me? Bang replied back, a warrior who never greets anyone. He raised an eyebrow, his voice full of sarcasm. Anyone at all. Kock immediately started bragging about his rank. I'm an SSR, an SSR, Special Super Ray SSR. He smirked proudly with his hands on his hips. I have 2 S letters before R, unlike some low-level guys now. He replied, trembling. Assassin, you're really mean. Kosack immediately retorted, Shut up. This is the difference in our level. That kid is ranked now, and he's been watching them argue and noticed something strange. Could it be that Bang is avoiding Kosack's gaze? Duhaiwok suddenly realized that the ranking gap had widened to 2 levels, and continued teasing. Why are you afraid to look at me? Not daring? Bang remained still. The warrior just looked ahead, and I couldn't help but chuckle to myself. Even Bang, slow to react, knew how to read the situation. Duhaiwok sighed to himself. Next time, if a legendary upgrade summon appears, he would definitely give it to Bang. Feeling sorry for him, he looked towards the entrance to the next floor. This time, I'll also get a platinum badge, right? Kojiak immediately replied confidently, taking the opportunity, I'm SSR after all. At that moment, the system notification panel kept appearing in front of their eyes. Duhaiwok looked around the new floor and frowned slightly. It's really cold. You tighten your weapon, thinking you might be able to grab a few more kills. He powered up, his eyes full of fighting excitement. So, should I get ready to celebrate my SSR rank up? Gobyang, you go ahead and draw their attention. He immediately nodded without hesitation. I obey. Gobang immediately charged forward, his heavy footsteps causing the ground to tremble slightly. He gathered his strength and leapt into the air, ready to dive into the battlefield. The crowd ahead, seeing the giant figure falling from above, panicked. Before they could recover, Gobang swung a punch down to the ground, taking down each one. He watched the scene, then smirked, drew his sword, and SSR Kosack activated. Then he charged forward at incredible speed, tearing through the enemy formation. Du Hyuk stood behind, staring in amazement as if a fighter jet just flew past, and after leveling up, Kosack charged forward like a gust of wind, moving faster and sharper. He kept rushing through the battlefield, slashing down monsters one after another. A fierce explosion erupted, blowing away the surrounding orcs. Are you amazed? Even the orcs nearby got caught in the blast. It's no longer just a fierce sword, it's like a bazooka. From behind, another group of monsters quietly approaches, planning to ambush Kosack. They swung their weapons directly at him standing in the middle of the battlefield. The monsters looked at him with fierce expressions, thinking they had hit their target. But suddenly, a monster's eyes widened in shock. In front of them, Kosack's body gradually disappeared like thin smoke. When did he appear behind them? A cold voice suddenly echoes, surprised yet. Immediately, Kosack unleashes a skill that slices through the monster formation behind him. The other bugs, seeing their comrades being defeated one after another, panic and retreat, their eyes filled with fear. He spun his sword and smirked mockingly. So you look so gloomy just after meeting? Kosack continues to step forward with a look of excitement. We're only just getting started. Seeing that he almost cleared the battlefield, Du Hyuk hurriedly prepared to fight. He had to act faster before he killed them all. He immediately charged into the battle, starting to attack the remaining monsters. Du Hyuk leapt into the air, causing the monsters below to panic and scatter. A voice from Kosack suddenly echoed in his mind, saying, "As long as you live the longest, that's enough. Summoner Bong, your safety is the greatest asset." Du Hyuk clenched his fist as he remembered those words. I have heard those words from Kosack. My eyes became more determined than ever, but I need to grow up quickly so that everyone who cares about me can finally feel at ease. Du Hyuk tightly grips his weapon and rushes fiercely toward the fierce monster. He slightly bows his head. Long as determined, I can't keep relying on Kosack forever. The distance between us is closing. Du Hyuk also realizes he needs to become stronger to face the monsters. Nachim kuanovung suong kaunahan shong nesang modben. Nahan ko hui Du Hyuk's daman vaulungabi batngotangkong. The monster lost its momentum and collapsed onto the dusty ground, with a bewildered look on its face. It jerked and glanced around, eyes wide open, summoning chaotic strength to unleash the first move of the Loi Kan technique. Then Du Hu swung his weapon straight into its head to finish it off, blood pouring from its mouth as the monster fell to the ground. At that moment, Nguyen Bei, using his Dabo technique activated by Du Hu, approached each member of the group. First, the one whose forehead was struck painfully by your weapon. Second, Du Hyuk, who struck him mercilessly on the top of his head with a hammer. And the last one, whose face was deformed by your weapon. Suddenly, Du Hyuk's eyes widened as a blue light shot down from above, and the system display appeared, filling you with immense joy. The second technique has been activated. The group of monsters over here has woken up. They rush towards Du Hyuk. This time I also understand immediately how to use this skill. Lightning discharge? I wonder what kind of skill this is. With the upgraded skill, he spun his weapon in his hand, unleashing a chaotic lightning whip, second form. Du Hyuk charged forward with a blazing golden lightning bolt toward them. In an instant, all the monsters were stunned by the power of the thunderstorm. Thunderstorm. Seeing the destructive power of Tan Loi, your eyes widened in amazement. It's a wide area damage skill. From an outside perspective, Kosack was a bit curious. Who would know how to use such a skill? He quickly turned his head, and Du Hyuk's figure made Kosack astonished. He hurriedly took a run-up and ran quickly towards you. The summoner Bong appeared, and in just a few seconds, Kosack was right behind Du Yu. He burst into tears like a child. You shouldn't get too worked up just because you've unlocked a new skill, and didn't you promise to take down one enemy per floor? Seeing that reaction, he could only scratch his head and smile shyly. Sorry about that. Suddenly, Du Hyuk remembered something, his eyes gradually narrowing. Wait a minute. He frowned deeply, a thought crossing his mind. Why should I apologize to my own summoned creature? Filled with rage, Du Hyuk roared wildly. Damn it, why do I have to be so cautious around him? Just thinking about it makes me annoyed. Outside, I might be a coward, but inside this tower, I am extremely cool. Kosack gently wiped away the tears with her finger, but safety still comes first. However, she insisted, forget about safety first, let that crazy chief appear. Weapon in hand, Du Hook Hao. Hung emphasized the word one. I will charge straight in and crush his skull. As soon as he finished speaking, a shadow appeared behind him, making him panic. Turning to look at the head of the weapon wielder standing behind Du Hyuk. What is this? I didn't want it to appear right now, but he swung his sword at you as you trembled. Kosack. Luckily, Kosack arrived just in time to save Du Hyuk from danger loyally. Your face is now completely bloodless and covered in sweat. I should have listened to Kosack from the start. Falling to the ground, Du Hyuk orders him. That prisoner, get him out of my sight immediately. OC just sighed in contempt, watching them all closely, holding 2 knives and declaring, leave it to me. Gobang clapped his hands together, protecting the summoner. With fighting spirit, both rush forward quickly, shield up, each taking a different direction to surround the chieftain. Oh! Gobang raised his hand behind him, a surge of power flowing through it. He quickly pressed his hand firmly against his opponent's weapon, then clenched his fist and shattered the weapon into 2 pieces. That incredible power left him stunned and panicked. But it didn't stop there. Gobang pushed off the ground, his feet leaving the dusty earth. He raised both hands and struck forcefully at Ok's shoulder in front of him. The blow stunned him, causing him to step back a few paces. While Ok was still stunned, Kosack appeared behind him, brandishing a weapon, delivering a series of slashes to his body. Immediately, notification boards appeared with attractive rewards, a platinum badge replaced the prestigious prize, and Du Hyuk quickly grabbed the badge. You have gained an additional privilege. Du Hyuk suddenly froze, eyes wide in surprise. What? An addition? The privileges on the list appear one by one. Damn, this is truly a stroke of luck from above. Then clearly Du Hyu hurriedly reached out and tapped the system panel with force. His eyes shone brighter than ever. Only a fool would choose otherwise. A profile of Du Hyuk is now clear. Great, my simultaneous summoning limit has increased to 3. A picture of 4 people drawn by himself. If I also join the fight, our team will have 4 members? The cooldown for summoning is about 18 days remaining. I wonder who the 3rd teammate will be. Back in the present, Du Hyuk turned to look at both of them. Anyway, now he was smiling brightly as he asked Kosack and Gobang, what do you guys want to eat today? He raised his hand to show his favorite dish. Can we eat until we're full? You seem a bit doubtful. He doesn't even know how to handle spicy food. Kosack smugly repeats. What do you mean by that? I am now an SSR. You're an SSR now. Being afraid of your spiciness is a thing of the past. Seeing that, Du Hyuk also had to accept it. Is that so? Then good luck. At the restaurant, the fragrant rice cakes are being served. Everyone has already done very well on the 25th floor. Just eat as much as you like. Seeing him eat happily, he wondered, is it not spicy? Gaou nodded. No way. It's even a bit sweet. That's different. This made Kosack lower his guard, eyes fixed on the rice cakes. Really? Just one bite and he spat fire, his face turning bright red. Seeing Kosack lying motionless on the ground, he suggested, the assassin is about to die. We should leave this one and summon someone else. With hands on hips, Du Hyuk wondered if he had already passed level 25. The water summoner, I think it's time to let the family know. That afternoon at your family's apartment, Du Hyuk, holding the declaration of beef, smiled happily. Mom, your son brought back some beef. Min-Hyuk glanced at him, wondering where he got the money to buy this. I put my arm around my younger brother Du Hyuk, and soon I will tell him about the beef I bought. Jay yelled at me quite a bit. Oh my god, how much money did I spend on this? Du Hyuk, do you have the receipt? Luckily, Suwon came to help. Du Hyuk and my mother stopped him for a few weeks now. We've been through a lot, right? Du Hyuk is only concerned about his younger brother. Let's enjoy it together. Hearing that, she happily let it go and sat at the dining table. He commented that the land's produce indeed tastes much better, happily teasing, why do all the men in this house love meat so much? Here, have some more fruit. Looking at my 2 loved ones in front of me, I breathe a sigh of relief and thank heaven. My mother's lawsuit, my father's treatment, everything has been resolved smoothly. Du Hyuk suddenly spoke. Everyone, listen up, don't be too shocked. The story leaves all 3 stunned. Listen, I have awakened now. Right now I am working like a player. Your parents and even your younger brother are deep in thought, looking at Du Hyuk with judgment. Min-Hyuk emotionlessly asks, hey, focus on eating the fruit. Doi nods. Gaou shook his head and nodded. That's really how it is. You can't even tell a joke properly anymore. Swan chuckled softly and asked, which video game do you mean? My phone started to vibrate gently. Hello, team leader. This is Bong Du Hyuk. The next day at a luxury apartment building, is it true? Our Du Hyuk has awakened? Yes, he is a valuable asset to that country and moreover a skilled player. A bodyguard welcoming Du Hu's parents and younger brother, the player waiting upstairs. Please follow this way. A powerful card quickly passes through the signal scanner. Here, I'm standing in the luxurious apartment and telling my family this will be our new home. That morning, at the elegant building, the Fake Awakening Administration Office completed the contract signed by Du Hu. He looked at the agreement with joy, realizing he had truly signed the elite contract. Reflecting on his past, Du Hyuk broke out in a sweat. Not long ago, I never would have imagined signing this contract. Truly, life is full of unexpected surprises. Wang In suddenly bowed his head, his voice full of guilt. I am very sorry that I could only propose an annual salary of 2 billion. Since the starting salary for the Spirit Wisdom player has already been set, that statement left him extremely confused. What do you mean, only 2 billion? I suddenly feel like my sense of reality is numb. He hesitated before continuing. Actually, with the talent of a player like him, he should have received a much higher amount. It's because I chose to do so. If my S+C++ raid record gets officially announced, it would be a bit troublesome. That way, my personal information would also be exposed. I imagine my family being surrounded by cameras, and if my face ends up on TV and social media spreads it everywhere, we might not even be able to go out peacefully anymore. Just thinking about it makes me nervous, so I kept quiet about the S++ record and my family. Going back to Du Hyuk's family, Wang In suddenly remembered and asked if your family liked that house. If there's anything you're not satisfied with, feel free to suggest at any time. You nodded repeatedly when you heard that. No, that's already enough. Minhok's younger brother's message pops up. What more could he ask for? Then that's too greedy. Here he takes out a screen showing fully furnished rooms. The office apartment for Bong's players is also ready. We have fully equipped it with appliances and furniture. You can move in right away, but do you really feel comfortable with the 2-bedroom apartment of about 80 square meters? We can definitely provide a larger apartment. Dehais held the screen, his eyes shining brightly. It's so clean and amazing. With this, it's just like a penthouse to me. That evening at a luxurious house in Seoul, the largest penus in Korea, with a large pool and 2 beautiful sisters inside. A man emerges from the water, making both of them laugh happily. He lowers his head, and the 2 girls quickly whisper into his ear. Oh, all 3 of you are smiling. He gets straight to the point. Hey kids, how long do you plan to keep ignoring me and just go swimming? Isn't it time to go ashore and find some fun? At the small table inside, all 3 clink their glasses and drain their drinks. This glass is worth 5 million. Cheon-min places the glass down on the table with a slight smirk. So, isn't it amazing? The 2 girls sighed. Oh my, today's wine is so sweet. Oh wow, I guess I drank it all. He looks even more smug. You're quick to pick up on the taste of money, aren't you? One girl sitting nearby said with a smile. That's right, you've been wondering about this for a while. Since you're the best player, you probably know, right? The question confused Cheon-min. What's going on? Her words made his eyes widen in surprise. Who is she, really? The record holder for consecutive S+ rank raids up to level 25. And it doesn't stop there, the girl continued. Lately, everyone in the gathering system has been talking only about that. I'm so curious I could die. He lightly sips his drink, indifferent, just at level 25, so what's so impressive about that? He doesn't care about those low-level guys at all. The girl keeps talking. This guy is so strange. Breaking into S+ rank is the first record in the world. If we have a player like that, of course, everyone would be curious. Knowing the atmosphere was a bit tense, her friend next to her reminded her, hey, don't bring that up again. As soon as she finished speaking, a stream of wine spilled all over the gossiping girl's hair. Oh no, keep talking. Shamin's expression changes as he holds the bottle. Listen carefully, you stupid bastard. If I stop conquering floor 66 now, what do you think will happen? He returned to his room alone, gazing out the window. Damn, what a miserable mood. Cheon-min is furious, teeth clenched. Those damn players always pretending to be S+C+, so I brought ordinary people here. Still talking about S+C+. The more he thought about it, the more exhausted he felt as he put his hand over his face and sighed. Cho-min recalls the money-driven request from before. Following last month, China contacted him again this month. The condition is an annual salary of 180 billion gold, plus a large villa, butler, private jet, and benefits comparable to national leadership. Then he thought again about the lucrative deal from Japan. And what about Japan? A salary of 200 billion gold plus the most luxurious villa. Arranged with 10 maids ready to fulfill every request, all promising the best privileges and pleasures. Thinking about this, Cheon-min's whole body trembled with each shiver. Yet I still chose to stay in Korea, relentlessly conquering level 66 for months. And yet all they talk about is that useless guy who cleared level 25? They're truly ungrateful. Suddenly he turned pale. A crazy idea came to mind. Should I just go through the immigration process for another country? Moreover, conquering level 66 is also proving difficult, as the terrifying monster from level 60 appears. The 60th floor area is where the undead army begins, and the 66th floor is where the vengeful spirits appear. They are ghosts that are terrifying just to look at. Physical attacks are completely useless, only elemental damage works. Next comes the pain of confronting that level. If you think they're just some undead or appear only in cheap comics, you're seriously mistaken. Only those who have experienced it know how terrifying their aura truly is. A single challenge can shake your spirit so badly that you have to take a 3-day break. Chi-Min recalls the moment of escaping from monsters with anti-darkness jewelry and spiritual herbs, as well as the light system weapons awarded from the tower. Even with all the equipment support, I only barely survived each time. Damn anicap monsters, it seems conquering the 66th floor will be difficult in the near future. He gazed into the distance with a hopeless look. Changing nationality? I can't just think about rushing in, I have to actually push this forward. Cheon-min is worried about the media coverage with his name everywhere. If I suddenly change my nationality to another country, everything would probably go crazy. More than half of Korea's time to conquer level 66 has already passed. He estimates that the tower will collapse in about 3 months, marking the start of the countdown to its destruction. As he finished speaking, a faint smile appeared on Cheon-min's lips. The only hope is that I am the best player. You Cheon-min, but he's no different from a cruel demon with a sinister smile. By then, it will already be too late. Because I wasn't even in Korea at that time, you fools. A future with the desolate city is gradually unfolding. Feel regret and embrace despair, you ungrateful traitors. Go back to Do-hyuk's house. The player is Do-hyuk. The food delivery has arrived. 10 whole fried chickens, right? He scratched his head awkwardly. Hello, sir. I must have called too many times. Sorry for bothering you. Receiving the food, Do-hyuk was also pleased. Living in the area where players gather is truly very convenient. The cleaning staff keep everything spotless. The staff here usually handle everything. From managing the apartment to chores like bringing clothes to the laundry shop and back, it's all routine. If cleaning is needed, they even send in cleaning staff. In addition, there are other rooms available. The building's amenities are also complete. There are restaurants serving 3 meals a day, a coffee shop, a gym room, a laundry, a karaoke bar, and even a swimming pool. If I knew, I would have moved in here earlier. You happily carry the chicken into the house. Because of your charm, today I'll order basic fried chicken. The mission on the 26th floor we just completed was to eliminate 20 swamp tro. The scene of fighting 20 tro floods back in Do-hyuk. Because of the swampy environment, level 26 is considered a pretty tough mission, but thanks to the nocturnal skills, it went smoothly. I also took down one of them. Holding a bag of chicken, he laughs and calls out to him, "Gang, you look sharp, let's eat chicken together." But neither of them noticed the captivated look in each other's eyes. Curious, Do-hyuk approached and looked back at both of them. Hey, are you listening? Here it comes. What are you so lost in watching that you forget everything else? Right now, the 3 of you are watching a Korean girl group perform. Your face is flushed and you're covering your eyes in admiration. The girl group on the 100-inch TV is so dazzling. In this case, it's no surprise if they don't answer. The hot gas canister is opened. Bong reached out and took a piece, eating while suggesting, should we still work on the 27th floor tomorrow? Yes, since we've started, let's just go straight to level 29. He chewed the piece of chicken in his mouth, puzzled why they only went up to the 29th floor. Li Jai, with bright eyes, held up 4 fingers after conquering it repeatedly over 10 days. When the summon cooldown randomly ends, we'll head up to level 30 with the 4 of us in the team. They nodded and smiled along. Is he going to summon a new member? I can't wait to see. Bong is eating and shouting at the news. New member, new member. Do-hyuk claps encouragingly. Keep going, Bong, you can do it too. Only he turned pale. Wait, if the legendary LSSR appears, my right-hand position will be at risk, but thinking about the safety of the summoner Bong, that of course is more important. Wang-in suddenly stepped in through the door. Bong player, I have brought the item you requested. Receiving the item in his hand, he felt grateful and thanked him for always caring attentively, which made him smile softly. It's nothing. Providing and supporting the progress of your skilled players conquering the tower is our duty. Do-hyuk confidently said he would use it carefully and return it in full, which made Wang-in satisfied. Then good luck on floor 27. The next day, in the thick snow, floor 27 was famous for its bone-chilling cold. Do-hyuk put on the item he admired, but he didn't feel cold at all. It's really warm. Seeing Bong, Tran was surprised. Does Bong feel cold dressed like this? He answers calmly. A warrior is not afraid of the cold. Seeing that, Do-hyuk looked over with a serious expression. He does seem cold. Are you okay? Or should I take off this hat for you? Even though his body is freezing, he still keeps a brave face and says he's fine. This chill can be easily blown away with magic. His tense posture makes you highly suspicious. Yes, if you only consider his head, Bang is definitely an SSR level. To prove he's okay, he kept jumping in place repeatedly. Moving like this should make him feel better. Then Kosack took a running start and sprinted forward. It's time to start hunting now. In the blink of an eye, his figure had completely disappeared. Watching from the side, Du-hyuk sighed with Bang, saying that Kosack was so cold he had gone crazy. Looking at the item that warms the body, he grinned happily. Inside, it's as warm as a blanket in a cozy room, making you too lazy to move. But still, I have to take down at least one of them. Breaking free from his thoughts, Du-hyuk rushed forward. Bang, let's go after him too. Next to him is Bong, following behind. Suddenly, the system appeared. Level 27 surpassed. You're stunned, just got in. Holding 2 sharp knives, I reported that I handled it quickly for the summoner's benefit. Du-hai felt extremely disappointed. Oh my, I haven't even had a chance to warm up my body. Anyway, your eyes light up when you see the sword item. At last, my equipment item has dropped. And this is a type of weapon too. A few seconds later, the sword with cracks appeared. Let's see, this is a 2-handed sword. But wait, isn't it too old? Holding the item in his hand, Du-hyuk trembled from the weight. I wonder if it's better than the spear of the current moment. It's so heavy I could die. I hurriedly stored it in an inventory slot, thinking I should ask for the selling price later. So Du-hyuk finished level 27 with a valuable item in his collection. Du-hyuk held up his chipped sword and asked nervously, Golang, do you want to try this sword? Go clenched his fist and coldly replied, a real warrior only uses their fists. Du-hyuk looked at Kosack and wondered, you don't really need it either, right, Kosack? Kosack put a hand on his forehead, smiling softly. My gear includes a 1-dragon leather armor and a blade forged by a dwarf. I will only trade top-tier items. Du-hyuk frowned, hesitating as he thought to himself, I guess I really have to sell this one and I'll have to visit the player shop again. It's such a hassle. These old soft items might not sell at all. Du-hyuk closed his eyes and said, let me try swinging it once before throwing it away. He chuckles softly and says, all right, do it. Du-hyuk raises his sword behind him and leans forward. He shouted, all right, I'll do it. Du-hyuk swung the sword forward, its weight lifting his entire body off the ground. Du-hyuk swings his sword again, his body tilting with each strike. He plants the tip of the sword on the ground, eyes wide open, panting from exhaustion. The opponent Kosack kept clapping and praised. As expected of the summoner Bong, you're amazing. Du wiped the sweat from his forehead, his voice faltering. I can't even lift it properly and just swing wildly. Hey, could you stop flattering me? You did very well. Considering the circumstances, your physical limitations are ultimately outside the tower. Du-hyuk propped one hand on his knee and asked, isn't there any way to remove that restriction? Du-hyuk's face suddenly lit up at Kosack's words. Maybe so. A picture of a ruined space appeared in Kosack's mind. He explained that if the boundary between the outside world and the tower disappears, the restrictions will be lifted. If countless towers around the world collapse, this real world will become a space like the tower. And that is when the limitations on the player's abilities completely disappear. Sack slowly opened his eyes. His voice grew deeper, signaling the omen of destruction. The scene shifts to the Japanese embassy in South Korea, with a clear blue sky overhead. Inside a room, Tu-mo is talking to someone on the phone, with the voice from the other end of the line coming through. The rabbit said it will leave its old nest for a new one. Tu smiled and said, that's good news, very good news. However, you will have to pick it up yourself. XO is currently watching the rabbit. Tu pressed the end call button. He reassured them, saying not to worry, I'll handle everything. Tu leaned back in his chair, smiled, and muttered, a big storm is coming. Transition to 2 days later, a notification appears in front of Du-hyuk. You think you've been feeling uneasy ever since Kosack started talking about things like omens of destruction. But now there's nothing we can do except leave it to experts like Yuchon-min to handle the ascent, right? Worrying won't solve anything. I just need to take my time and climb at my own pace. No need to rush like I usually do. Du-hyuk raised his hand into the air, and the notification screen immediately disappeared. All right, continuing from level 28, it's time to conquer level 29. Memories of the forest on level 28 flashed through Du-hyuk's mind. I really struggled with the 28th floor I cleared yesterday because the jungle cho from the giant tree attacked straight down. Getting an S+ rank alone is really tough, but I can see Bang crashing his entire body into a tree. Du-hyuk thinks to himself, we have Bong on our side. The monsters on the treetops start falling down. Du-hyuk still finds it terrifying when he remembers how did he manage to pull out that huge tree? Du-hyuk sighed, feeling a bit regretful that he wasn't smarter. Bong must have been a real SSR. Kosack on the other side keeps attacking the enemy. He laughs and says, "A seed is falling, watch out above your head." Loving the Lord, Du-hoo's thoughts continued to race as Kosack's swift finishing blows helped clear the area. Du-hyuk put on a gas mask. "You think that the 29th floor you'll face today definitely won't be as clean as that head?" The image of the plague demons appears in Du-hoo's mind. You could tell they were filthy, just from their name. Welcome, Pilro. They wander around randomly. Their bodies constantly leak yellow mucus and slime, and some players have even contracted illnesses while fighting them. Du-hook raises his hand forward and 2 summoning notifications appear, bringing his mind into focus. I have to prepare thoroughly for this. Kosack appears, raising one hand in a greeting gesture. He spoke loudly. "Loyal Kosack, SSR level, I send my regards to you, sir." "Sir." Gobang appears beside him and whispers, "Robang is also here." Du-hyuk hears this and nervously thinks, "Don't keep claiming to be wrong anymore." "All right, let's go to the 29th floor." The 3 of them teleport to a new space, shrouded in a dark fog of bones. Du-hyuk asked, "Are you sure you don't need to wear masks?" Gobang frowned. He replied, "A true warrior wouldn't get sick," and he smiled faintly. He replied calmly, "I am sincere, sir. Wearing a mask is hard to breathe and makes me feel restricted, but I appreciate your kindness." Du-hyuk closed his eyes, hesitating. "All right, then." As soon as he finished speaking, Cock and Go jumped and rushed forward. Kosack and Gowang are fighting the enemies, looking very much to be enjoying the battle. Many demonic parasites have been defeated. The notification panels for clearing level 29 and the rewards appear before Du-hyuk's. The battle ends. Gobang clasps his hands together with anticipation in his eyes. Kosack joins his palms and smiles, asking, "Summoner Bong, shall we have dinner together tonight?" Du-hyuk gently lowers his head and whispers, "I am truly sorry." Kosack is stunned and asks, "Why are you apologizing?" "Haha, sir." Du-hyuk raised his hand forward and shouted to dismiss the summon. Gang exclaimed. Kitchen looked surprised. He shouted, "Summoner change scene." Gaou is training here in the fake awakening office room. She releases her grip and the barbell drops heavily to the floor. Gaou raises her hands, tying up her hair, sweat pouring down her face as the image of the zombies on the 62nd floor flashes through her mind. She thought about the shadow zombies on the 62nd floor. The black aura emitted by the monsters kept gnawing at the players during battles and corroding them. With the current situation, I can't see any path leading to victory. Gaou sits down on the chair. She gasped for breath and wondered, is level 62 really my limit? But even so, Gon gently lowers her head, her thoughts filled with determination. As long as she walks the path of the chosen, she must keep going until her body collapses. Gaou grabs her water bottle, frowning as she drinks the remaining water, then stands up, raising her hand and smiling, thinking that in times like this, she must focus on positive strength. Outside, Minnie's group suddenly rushed past. Gaou was slightly startled and looked out. Minnie suddenly stopped and turned around when she heard Gaou calling, then continued, "Sorry, Gaou, I'm a bit busy right now. Are you still not caught up on the news?" "Gaou?" She widened her eyes, her face showing clear surprise. Minnie continued, "That bastard Yu Cheon-min." The scene shifts to a room where Cheon-min is holding a press conference. His voice echoes. The Korean Awakening Agency is only busy with politics, neglecting the management of elite teams. The reporters here all look visibly confused. Cheon-min continues, "The future of Korea looks truly bleak." Cheon-min looked up and declared confidently, "And so today, I-min will leave Korea to start my career as a Japanese player." The scene shifts to Du-hyuk watching the press conference, who gasps in shock. "What is that?" Du-hyuk looked at the screen, puzzled. "Yes, that's why we hurriedly invited you in. The player is gone. Nothing else matters." Wang Wei frowned, his voice deepening. "How long do you think it will take to reach above level 60? Du-hoo's mind suddenly flashed. I knew it. They suddenly called me in. So it was about climbing the tower. Du-hoo lowered his head, seriously considering that if he was on level 29 now and climbed 1 level a day, it would take 37 days to reach level 66. The deadline to reach level 66 of the Black Tower in Korea is about 90 days, so at first glance it seems feasible. But Du-hyuk lifts his face, his eyes directed toward Kwang-in. It will be very difficult to do within 90 days. If I encounter a tough section, I need to spend at least 10 days preparing before continuing the climb. And again, my contract clearly states that the climbing speed is entirely up to me. Wang-in placed a hand on his chin and said, "I apologize. Even though you haven't signed the contract for long, I shouldn't have made this request. But in this situation, we are like drowning men grabbing at straws." Du-hyuk covered his ears with both hands, thinking to himself, "Don't look so sad. It will shake my resolve." Tears streamed down both sides of Du-hyuk's face as he helplessly thought, "But no, I can't promise what I'm not sure about. Huh. Where did Ga come from? She shouted. Team leader Kwang Wai looked at Ga and exclaimed, the male player, Ga. Gao? Looking at Kwang In, she spoke urgently. Did I hear from Leader Lai Min? Oh, I mean from Leader Lai Min, is it true that my will lend us the light attribute items? Wang In sighed softly and replied that he still hadn't received a definite answer. The global source of light attribute items is in short supply. Gaun in a deep voice, she said disappointedly. I'm sorry, I was just too desperate. Gaun looked toward Du Hai Huck. She wondered. Oh, do you have a customer? Du Hai Huck blushed, thinking a beautiful woman was paying attention to him. Wang In smiled softly, his voice hesitant. Du Hai Huck looked away, stammering, I am Du Hai Huck. I'm here to sell an item. Wang In raised his index finger, signaling approval. By the way, I got this not long ago, and it seems people are lacking light attribute items. Would you like to try it? I heard that compatibility extends with light attribute items. Can I take a look at it for a moment? Sure, take your time to look. Gaou raised her hand toward the sword, and a sudden light appeared, revealing her mind. Let's see. A status window for the sword appears in front of Gaou. Her thoughts were filled with amazement. Her attack power would increase when fighting Ande, and even more so with a critical hit chance. No way, I've never heard of this effect before. Gaou suddenly grabbed Du Hai Huck's shoulder and exclaimed, I Kwang In am a bit surprised. He shouted, the male player Ga? Ga. Continue, I will buy it, Go. She gently lowered her head, her cheeks blushing. She slowly said, please lend it to me. Just this once. Gaou's eyes sparkle as she pleads, please, I will do anything you want. A fleeting image flashes in Du Hai Huck's mind of him and Gaou, walking side by side down the aisle. Both Du Hai Huck and Gaou smile tenderly at each other as the scene shifts to them walking along the distant coastline, the sun gradually setting behind the mountains. Du Hai Huck looked down at Gaou and softly said, Gaou, should we have a honeymoon baby? Du Hai Huck chuckled softly and asked gently, so what should we name the baby? Gaou. She slightly tilts her head and whispers, Holy Sword Bong. Du chuckled softly. What kind of name is that? Our Gaou really is funny. Gaou leans in close to Du Hai Huck and whispers, the holy sword is rubbish. Du Hai Huck pouts and says softly, stop joking. Come here. I will kiss you now. A voice suddenly woke Du Hai Huck up. Bong player. Where did Ga come from? Holding a sword in her hand, she said emotionally, just now you really said you would lend me this holy sword, right? Oh yes, of course I will lend it to you. Just try it out and then tell me how it performs. Gaou smiled brightly and said, thank you very much. Player Bong, if you ever need help later, just tell me any time. I will do anything. Gaou put on a battle armor, adjusted her gloves, and said, I will conquer level 62 right now. As soon as she finished speaking, Ga disappeared instantly. Wang Anung stood still, softly saying, come back safely. Du Hai Huck watched Gaou's figure disappear, and his mind was troubled. I wonder if it can be used or not. It has to be in good condition to sell for a high price, right? I was actually planning to throw it away. Don't be greedy. How much is an old sword like that really worth? The scene shifts to a desolate land, the surroundings filled with danger. Someone is approaching Ga from afar. She thinks to herself, something that shouldn't exist. The zombie appears, with a white cloth wrapped around its face, completely covering its eyes. The gate concludes. Zombie. Gaou? She places a hand on the hilt of her sword and carefully considers. Even after all these times, she still can't get used to this tense, trembling feeling. The disgusting energy source makes you want to run away immediately. That feeling is still the same. Gaou raises his sword high, a surge of power flowing out. Gaou points her sword forward. Her mind flashes with an image. Her aura is weaker than she thought, even dimmer than the light-based gear I was supported with before. Are you really okay? From afar, the zombie bounces on its feet, raises its hand, then charges straight at Gaou. Gaou frowns, immediately getting into a ready stance. She thought to herself, all right, there's no other choice but to try herself. Gaou jumps into the air, gripping her sword tightly, her mind filled with determination. Facing the enemy instead of running away is the destiny of a warrior. Gaou charges forward, swinging her sword down fiercely. The zombie raises its hand high, blocking Ga's attack with a surge of dark energy emanating from it. Ga sensed this, thinking the black aura was sweeping in. Gaou drops to the ground, planting the tip of her sword into the ground as her thoughts flashed through her mind. Her body felt heavy, but unchanged from before. The zombie charged at Gaou. It swung its sharp claws toward her, and Gaou helplessly thought, damn it. Suddenly, a notification appeared, and a flash of light made the zombie pause for a moment. When did Gaou raise her sword to block the zombie's attack, and her mind exclaimed, "What is this?" Following that, Gaou charged forward and delivered a powerful slash that sent the zombie's arm flying. She thought to herself, "The dark energy has been neutralized." Gaou turned around, her eyes shining brightly, and her mind raced. Then she unleashed a flurry of slashes at the zombie. It screams in pain. Gaou stops, panting as she utters, "This is too easy. Let's cut back to Du Haiyuk's apartment." Kwang Wai raised his hand, looking at his watch with a clear expression of unease. He thinks it's been 2 hours since she entered the 62nd floor. Kwang In lowers his hand and leans back in his chair. His mind was worried. Every time the male player Gaou failed, Tuong would return around this time, but who knows what will happen this time. Suddenly, a flash of light appeared and Gaou materialized in the middle of the room. Wang In was startled and immediately stood up. Du Haiyuk smiled softly and whispered, "Oh, she's back." Kwang Wai looked toward Gaou and said, "You've worked hard, male player Gaou." "Gaou?" He throws his armor onto the ground. She was drinking a healing potion and said, "Wait a moment. Let me drink a healing potion first." Kwang Yi's mind was full of doubt. Could she really have made it through? Or is she abandoning the mission? Even with the holy sword, is it still not allowed? Gaou raised his hand, and the medicine bottle gradually disappeared. She walks toward Du Hiu, who smiles and says, "I'm glad you're back safe." Gaou approaches, placing a hand on Du Haiyuk's shoulder, who scratches his cheek and says, "So what? Do you think the holy sword is usable? If not, just say so directly." As soon as she finished speaking, Gaou spread her arms and embraced the stunned Du Haiyuk tightly. Du Haiyuk blushed, eyes wide open, and let out a shy cry. "No, why are you so polite? You're making me embarrassed." Tears started to well up in Ga's eyes as she tremblingly said, "Thank you very much. If you hadn't lent me the holy sword, I would have definitely failed." Wang In was momentarily startled and interrupted, then turned his gaze back to Kwang In. She said emotionally, having successfully conquered level 62, "I will need to try a few more times to be sure." "But if everything goes smoothly," Gaou continued, her voice trembling, "I think maybe we can also clear level 66 with this holy sword." Good. Chanmin's image appears in Kwang In's mind. He thought to himself how lucky he was, and then remembered that if the player had brought the holy sword a little earlier, and it fell into the hands of that dark-hearted Yu Cheon-min, just thinking about it was terrifying. Kwang Wai looked at Du Hiu and thought, the man named Bong Du Hiu is becoming more interesting the more I learn about him. From the clear S+C+ record to items like this, Gaou hurriedly let go of Du Haiyuk and shyly said, "Oh my, sorry about that. I was just too excited." Du Haiyuk stood still, his voice softly echoing that it was once a beautiful life. Kwang In's mind felt puzzled. Could someone really achieve such a level? Ga raised her hand and the sword gradually appeared. She said, "I've used it very well, but the blade is damaged in a few places." Du Haiyuk looked at the sword, thinking to himself that it was already pretty battered, so he might as well use it a few more times before throwing it away. Kwang In smiled and reassured him, "It's okay. The workshop at the shop has many skilled craftsmen. If you ask them to repair it, it should last a long time." Gaou smiles brightly and says, "That's great." Du Haiyuk looks at Kwang In and asks, "Is the repair cost expensive?" "Of course not. Our management team will cover the costs." Du Haiyuk gently raised his hand and suggested, "How about you buy this sword from me now, since you still need it to conquer the 60th floor?" Kwang In, resting his chin on his hand, said, "I think it's better not to sell this sword." Du Hu's mind was a bit disappointed. It seemed he didn't intend to sell. Too bad. Wang In smiled and said, "Instead, we can rent it out. Keeping ownership of the sword would be more financially beneficial for you." Images of towers around the world appeared as Wang In's voice grew louder. Not only Korea, but around the world there are hundreds of towers, and not many countries have reached the 60th floor yet. But sooner or later, they will. You can rent out this sword to them. Wang In finalized the price, leaving Du Hyuk stunned. 10 billion per use. Du Ha remained silent, lowering his head. Kwang In continued, "This is definitely a deal worth trying. If there's anything you don't like, just tell me any time. This is too generous." Wang In smiled, saying, "He agreed, so the management department will handle all the rental procedures for the holy sword." Du Hu smiled brightly and replied, "Thanks to you all." Du Hu chuckled softly and said, "I will let the management team rent it for 1 billion, this time for free, and charges will only apply from the 63rd floor upward." Wang In was a bit surprised. He said, "No, you don't need to do that." Du Haiyuk interjected, "I will earn a lot from other countries in the future just by promoting it?" "Well, worldwide," Wang In stammered. His voice was full of gratitude. "Thank you so much." The scene shifts to the stove. At this moment, a pot of boiling food is placed on top, steam rising into the air. Doohoo stirs the broth with a ladle, smiling and thinking, what is this? Lending once and getting 10 billion. It still sounds a bit unbelievable. Maybe the Saint Sword title is even higher than the host's. A thing that was meant to be thrown away turned out to be a real gold mine. Doohyuk placed a plate full of food on the table and said with a smile, today I have to eat a hot boss, Sam. Eat a lot. He clasped his hands together and happily said, Summer Bong cooked this for me. Gang wiped away a tear and said emotionally, Samner is the only one who treats me this well, but he interrupted and said, I'd like to enjoy my meal now. Doohyuk smiles brightly and says, eat a lot, even 1,000,000 pieces of meat is fine. My thoughts go back to everyone. Thanks to them, I'm rich now. The image of the station appears, with many news reports about her surpassing level 62 of the tower. A transition scene shows a line of text. 10 days later, Doohyuk's thoughts suddenly surface. I have spent the past 10 days repeating that only the 28th floor is open. After passing the plague demons on the 29th floor, Doohyuk holds a towel in his hand. He thought to himself that the long-awaited moment had finally arrived, and the random summon had returned. I've washed myself clean at the public bath, trimmed my nails, and changed into new clothes. Doohyuk appears, sitting in meditation, his face sunken from hunger. Doohyuk's mind flashes back to fasting since yesterday. Doohyuk opened his eyes, worriedly thinking to himself, I'm starving to death, just summon me back so I can eat. Doohyuk took a bowl and caught water in it. He thought to himself, finally placing the purified water on the table. Water from the filter machine also counts as purified water, right? A countdown notification appears, indicating Doohyuk's summoning ability is about to return. Doohyuk sits at the table with a bowl of water, hands clasped, continuously praying, I pray. I pray. Please bring out LSSR. Just LSSR. Legend Special Supercock tilts his head to the side and reassures him, don't worry too much. It should be fine. Surely it won't turn into mid-B again. Doohyuk turned back and asked Kosack, what about MB? Looking at Kosack, he said, thanks to him, we've cleared so many S+ levels. Kosack was a bit surprised, stammering, I just wanted to comfort Samo Bong. Gabong beside him smiled brightly. Kosack turned to him and he shouted angrily, are you still smiling like that? All right, it's time to focus now. Doohyuk's voice echoes as he starts the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Doohyuk clasped his hands together and shouted a random summon, praying in his mind for a good rank. A flash of light appeared from the corner of the wall, gradually forming the shape of a person. A girl materialized, her entire body bathed in a purple light as she was being summoned. Dolly appears and softly says, thank you for summoning me. Dolly kneels on the ground and respectfully bows to Doohyuk. This young lady, Jianond, respectfully bows to the young Master Bong.